Space, the final frontier. And who better to inhabit it than rogues, smugglers, and bounty hunters? In space, there's no such thing as West, but it sure as hell gets wild. We're doing space westerns.
Yay!
There you go. There you
Second time's a charm.
go. I know. It only took 2 tries this time. I'm pretty proud.
I'm very proud of you.
That's the first
pretty
time
impressive.
I've heard that. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Is it really though?
I think it's funnier if I say yes.
Boy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to 321 Binge.
Binge? All right.
One day I'll get our title right. This week, we're doing space westerns. Yes, that means we're talking about a show that ended about a week ago and was very, very popular. But first, let me introduce you to my co-host, Faison,
Yep.
and the voice actor for Baby Grogu himself, Tyler.
Baby Goku? Yeah, okay.
Baby Grogu. Little baby Grogu. Look at him. He looks, I could see Tyler in like, if we needed to do like a live action, middle-aged Baby Yoda, I could see us painting Tyler green.
Would he be a baby then?
Well,
Oh yeah. Middle-aged baby Yoda.
look, if I start calling him adult Grogu, it's gonna get fucking weird. It's gonna get very confusing. Tyler could play an adult Grogu. That's my fan casting for the next Star Wars movie.
Aren't you guys like the same height?
I mean, that wasn't meant to be a short joke. I just think Tyler has Baby Yoda energy.
Aren't I the
Okay.
same height as you, Chris?
Huh?
Aren't I like the same height as you?
Again, this wasn't a short joke.
No. I'm trying to.
I'm
Take a
5'10" ish. I don't know what that means though for you.
You say 5'10"?
Ish. I don't actually know. I haven't checked my height in a very long time.
I do not look up to you.
That's fucking rude,
I hope
man.
I hope people wouldn't look up to Chris.
That's a little bit rude though. Honestly, Tyler, I didn't really need that.
Hey, you said no one would cry at my funeral, so leave.
Man, this is so the Mandalorian.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, listen to our past episodes.
Yeah, actually do that. Definitely listen to our past episodes. That sounds like a plan. So yeah, the first show we're talking about, The Mandalorian. You guys have literally all heard about it because it's been talked about pretty much nonstop for the past 8 weeks and a half.
Yeah.
For those of you who just woke out of a for those of you who just woke up out of a coma and
Or
decided
maybe
to,
live under a rock.
or live under a rock and decided that the first thing you want to do with internet access is watch us for some reason.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great start. But yeah, The Mandalorian is set in the Star Wars universe. I'm not going to explain that. And basically follows the adventures of bounty hunter Din Djarin.
Or Mando.
Or the Mando. Yeah, or Mando. Maybe we'll just call him Mando. And he goes around the galaxy collecting bounties and transporting a little green baby Yoda to try and find his home.
Yep.
That's it. That's the show.
That's
It's
about
nice.
it, yeah.
It's fun. It's enjoyable. I like it.
Yeah, first season is a lot more procedural than I would have liked. But as the story progresses with Mando and what we call Baby Yoda, but now we know as
Grogu.
once that story actually gets going in the back half of the first season and throughout the second, it gets really great.
Yeah.
Like I agree. Like season 1, very episode of the week. You know, it's just like every episode is just a new job, new little thing for Mando to do.
Yeah, which isn't that like surprising for like a Western film, like a show?
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot from old Western shows where it is a bounty of the week or like whatever's going on that week.
I'd say like all 3 of the space westerns we're talking about kind of have that structure.
Yeah, but I think the biggest thing with Mando is that it has an overarching storyline. So feel like the first season felt a little weird pacing wise with the like adventure of the week because there was this main storyline.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I think episode 2 was like the worst of it, where it's the egg where he fights the the Rhinox, I think it's called. Yeah, like that episode technically comes back because that becomes a signet, but like, damn, if it doesn't feel like you could have cut that episode out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably like the episode that affects the plot the least that I can think of.
It wouldn't have been that bad pacing wise if each episode, it's mostly prominent in the first 4 because like the back half of that season really picks it up.
Yeah.
But it's in those 4 episodes you get the one you just said in episode 2, you get at the time, it's kind of an adventure of the week. The heist episode with Bill Burr.
Yeah, that one comes back.
Yeah.
I do think we should actually say one thing. I think this is one of the first weeks where I feel like this is worth mentioning. Spoiler warning. We will be spoiling all 3 of the shows involved here.
I mean,
all 3 of these actually have things worth spoiling.
Yeah, that's true, but I'd hope that like people would have already watched these.
Yeah, I feel like
at least Mando. At least Mando.
Cowboy Bebop, I'm giving mostly the warning for because that is a show that we all really enjoyed.
That is true, and that was a show that I hadn't watched before this.
It's a little more niche compared to
yeah.
Mando. So that's one that like if you haven't seen that, it's the last one we're going to talk about. Just be wary. That show is worth watching with no spoilers going into it. It's good. Yep. So mostly throwing that out there, but just warning for you all. We are going to be spoiling everything. That's pretty much what we do here. But yeah, back to what Tyler was saying. The Bill Burr episode at first definitely feels kind of fillery.
It's a good episode though.
Yeah, it's a fun episode. I actually really like it.
Yeah,
I'm a fucking Star Wars nerd. I think I've mentioned that on this podcast once or twice.
Maybe.
And just getting to see like a New Republic prison transport and like New Republic prison droids.
Yeah,
that was fucking crazy to me. Like seeing they repurposed the parts of like K2SO droids or the whole K2 series. I think it's like holy shit.
Which one? I gotta look. Which ones?
Alan Tudyk's character in Rogue One.
Okay.
It looks like they repurposed like part of the back and the arm chassis stuff. So it's like,
oh, okay.
I just love that. Like that little type of stuff. I love it. I love little Star Wars details like that.
Yeah.
It does help watching Mando if you are as much of a Star Wars nerd as like Chris.
I mean that's more into like season 2 though. I think.
I think it does. I think it works with all of like I think Star Wars as a
I guess the end of season 1 actually kind of fits that.
Yeah. I think Star Wars as a franchise, it rewards how much you've put into it. Like even the movies, like the prequel trilogy is a mess. If you watch Clone Wars, the prequel trilogy gets a lot better. The original trilogy, it's good, but like if you read some books and comics and shit just gets expanded and gets really interesting. Vader gets more interesting the more you consume of his character. The sequel trilogy is having pretty much the same thing where like as you consume more content related to it, it all kind of gets elevated. I
think the thing is, right, the Star Wars universe is so like massive.
It's fucking huge.
It's impossible to fit it into even like a movie series.
Yeah. You pretty much they can pretty much keep expanding it. Like, I mean, I know Faison, you were a big fan of the old KOTOR games.
Yeah.
Those take place 10,000 years.
Yeah, literally 10,000 years before current Star Wars.
I don't know the plot of KOTOR 2, but I do know the plot of KOTOR 1, and that's one of the best stories in Star Wars canons or canon.
And as I've told you before, the plot of KOTOR 2 is better than the plot of KOTOR 1.
I really got to play it. I got to take the time. I'm meaning to. That's like my biggest thing that I've skipped on.
And I'm just here hanging out in the corner.
Tyler's just here. Tyler by far.
Tyler, this is our time.
This is Star Wars week. This is for us. Yeah, Tyler definitely has seen the least. He's seen part of Clone Wars.
I've seen the majority of my Star Wars knowledge comes from the movies.
Yeah, or what I've messaged him on Twitter.
Just ranting and then me saying, "Oh, interesting."
Yeah, I've watched obviously all the movies. I've watched all the shows, even the ones that were definitely not meant for my age category. I meant the kid ones. I realized that sound as I was saying it. I mean the kids shows.
Yeah.
Like Star Wars Resistance is very much a kids show. I still watch it. How much is
your browser history, Star Wars, Chris?
And I've read all the comics actually for canon right now, and I've made my way through a good chunk of the books, but not all of them. That's where I'm slacking because I normally listen to audiobooks and I'm just behind on that. But like I was saying, like Star Wars is a franchise that the more you put into it, the more you get out. And I think kind of like we were saying in the tail end of season 1, you see that because you get the Darksaber. The main villain of the season, Moff Gideon, he's an ex-Imperial, seemingly an ISB officer, I think they said. And he shows up at the end of the season and he has the Darksaber, which is like an important Mandalorian relic.
It's like the first like lightsaber kind of lightsaber by the first Mandalorian Jedi.
Yeah, like it was the first Mandalorian Jedi. I think it was Tar Vizsla. He created that lightsaber and he was kind of
it also like 1,000 years before.
Yeah, several thousand. I think actually like even before when KOTOR would take place, because it would be the Mandalorian Jedi.
No, I think it was like from what I remember, it was like 1019.
Let me take a look because
the Jedi Mandalorian Wars took place right before KOTOR.
Let me see. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So that's what I was thinking before KOTOR. So I was thinking it might because Revan led like the Crusades.
Yeah.
Huh.
And see,
okay,
like,
so it would have been 1,000 years before. So that's 9,000 years after that, unless they're moving the history up, which they could be to try and condense it a little bit.
Yeah.
Just say KOTOR took place 1,000 years ago instead of 10,000. I think that's fine. If they are, we don't know.
There's stuff like that. Like, you guys have all this history of like that's just from the game, right?
No, well, the KOTOR stuff's from the game, but the lore of the Darksaber is actually from one episode of Star Wars Rebels.
Which even like you see that one episode, you unlock a whole other chapter of this whole world.
It's crazy. No, it is, and like the show just keeps doing that. Where it's like I think this is going to be just the way it is going forward. Everything matters.
Yeah, which makes sense because like I feel like they've done it in such a way where it caters to the diehard Star Wars fans, but at the same time, somebody who has no idea about Star Wars will enjoy it.
Yeah,
and will like understand that like the Darksaber, right? Like they don't know the history behind it, but they know that it's an important weapon.
Yeah, like I mean, yeah, I only saw the movies, and I still watched both seasons. For most part, I got everything. I saw part of Clone Wars, so I knew how important some of the characters that showed up in season 2 were.
Yeah,
I just didn't get the hype. I understood the hype. I wasn't as hyped about seeing some of the things as I would have been if I saw everything.
I mean, yeah, like one of the characters I was probably most hyped to end up seeing was in the season 2 premiere, and it was Cobb Vanth, a character.
Who?
Yeah, no, that's fair, because not only he's not from the shows, he's not from the comics, he's from the books, and he's not actually a main character in the books. He just takes place in like the interlude chapters.
Yeah, he's just there.
The story. Yeah, like
came back.
Yeah, it was that, because like there's a series of books, the Aftermath trilogy. It talks about like after the Empire fell at Endor, and it talks about like the war that the New Republic basically wages against the Empire, and then in between every couple of chapters, you get a chapter that takes place somewhere around the galaxy. So we would get like a couple of things. We got like 4 chapters about this guy called Cobb Vanth living out in Mos Pelsa, fucking like with a little baby Jabba the Hutt that he's gonna raise in order to fucking like control the area. We don't see the baby Jabba the Hutt, unfortunately, but that is his story, and I was so excited to fucking see that. Played by Timothy Oliphant, who was really fun.
He's great in anything.
Yeah, I've only seen him in San Clarita Diet.
I mean,
which, by the way, was a surprisingly good show.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that more than I expected to.
Yeah, we can probably put that in something.
Yeah, we could do a fun zombies week.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like again, Star Wars, it feeds your investment back to you, and like especially season 2, we start getting some big fucking cameos.
Yeah, especially season 2.
I think we could probably just hit them in order. So we can start with Bo-Katan.
Yeah, by the way, I had no idea who the fuck she was.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys a little Star Wars fucking schooling.
But I did look it up and I understood.
Okay, I'm gonna give Tyler a little Star Wars fucking schooling here.
I mean, same thing. I understood her importance.
I mean, yeah, okay. But like, did you know that her sister definitely fucked Obi-Wan Kenobi?
I mean, of course not.
Did you know that her sister died by the Darksaber?
Yeah. Spoilers for Clone Wars now too, by the way.
Sorry, Tyler.
Yeah, you hadn't seen that yet.
I'm probably gonna forget. Like, I'm probably gonna know, but I'm not.
Didn't say her name, so
I'm not gonna be looking out for like, oh, it's gonna happen. I'm not like you could have told me, and it's not gonna.
It was a heart-wrenching scene.
It was actually very painful. It was very sad.
And see, like, again, I understood the importance in the show. I was like, oh, these characters are probably big. I heard buzz about them. I see them. I treated them as just like, oh, they're new characters in this world. Obviously, they have their own backstory. I just wasn't as excited to be like, oh, fuck yeah. I mean, I was excited for the other cameo because I seen half a Clone Wars.
There's 2 of them. Well, yeah, actually, there's 3 cameos in here that you would be excited for specifically. I do want to say, like, me and my father, we watched all of Clone Wars, right? Going like after Mandalorian season 1, and we just barely finished all of Rebels getting into this. So he had actually had maximum possible canon understanding of most things that happened in this season.
Yeah.
And that is truly, I feel, the way to experience Star Wars is just like knowing. It sounds weird, but I really think that like once you know as much as you can about this thing, like suddenly every little detail sounds great. Like there's you see, I think it's like You see a ship from Star Wars Rebels in like one frame of a scene from the episode, the finale actually, like when they land their ship and they're going to talk to Bo-Katan to get her to help like on the heist or whatever to save the kid. You see like a ship in the background and it's like, oh shit, that's fucking Tam Bangor's Starhopper there in the background.
Wait,
and it's
so,
like, wow, that's awesome. No one in their right mind would ever fucking realize that.
I have a question. Does this take place before Rebels or
No,
after?
Well after.
Okay.
It takes place, okay, so Rebels has an epilogue after the show ends, and the epilogue takes place an unknown amount of time after the show ends.
Okay.
So technically, the epilogue could take place after the Mandalorian.
Because I did have some questions about the Darksaber from Rebels and Mando, but I guess we shouldn't get into it. I feel like it's
not too much. You don't get me to rant too heavily on Star Wars because I could make entire.
No, I know you could. I know you could.
I'm holding back so much.
It is a question I have, and that I think I'll ask you later.
Yeah, I think we'll get to it.
Definitely
ask it.
Well, it's a Bo-Katan question.
Okay. Well, we're on Bo-Katan right now.
Yeah, that's why I was bringing it up.
Fair point.
I just didn't know if we want to get into this right now.
Get into it, please. Give me an
excuse. Okay, so in Rebels, why didn't Bo-Katan take the Darksaber?
She did. She took the Darksaber from its previous user, Sabine Wren, who had then gotten it by stealing it from Darth Maul. I have the because so later.
But doesn't she deny it?
She denies it at first, and then she takes it later.
Okay.
So I have a feeling that was the fuck up. Because here, at one point, Jin actually gets his hands on the Darksaber after defeating Moff Gideon. And he offers it to Bo-Katan, as is in the season finale. And Moff Gideon laughs and says, she can't take it because it has to be won by trial of combat. That didn't happen in Rebels.
And we all know how well that works out for Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, one-on-one combat works out so well for Oberon.
Yeah.
I mean, Mando.
Granted, if he just didn't want a confession, he would have won.
He also has a spear and a mask this time. So.
And also got the ship like continually beat in the face by
a dark trooper.
Yeah. So I'm like that whole scene I'm just watching is like, are they just doing the fuck with us? Like, is this
Pedro Pascal is taking back the biggest L.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Bo-Katan's like, no, I can't take it from you. And I think I have the feeling, this isn't really canon, this is just my thought process, that the fact that she took the Darksaber in Rebels peacefully and without trial by combat, I think that some of the clans probably didn't respect her. And that might be why they lost to the Empire later on anyway. Because we know that she loses that uprising. Yeah. And I think that might be the reason why, because she didn't play by the Mandalorian rules.
Yeah, I've seen that theory float around, and it seems like one.
That was pretty much what I immediately thought when I saw it. I'm like, oh shit, okay, that makes sense.
But is it not like out of her character to take it peacefully?
It would have been, I would say it would have been part of her character to take it peacefully back then.
Yeah.
But she is a lot more aggressive since the Mandalorian purge.
Yeah.
Like she's like not a villain, but she's definitely, I wouldn't call her a good person at this point in the show.
Yeah, I mean,
she's seen a lot of shit, and she's willing to beat the fuck out of whoever she has to get what she wants.
Yeah.
She's definitely a lot more on the stone cold badass side of things. So I think that at this point she's trying to do it by the book as much as she can to make sure she can actually rule Mandalore, since she is the rightful heir by blood right now. But that doesn't really matter for Mandalorians.
It doesn't. It's whoever wins.
It's you strong, you lead.
Whoever has the mask of Mandalore, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. On that note, we can probably move to what was the third biggest cameo, I'd say. Ahsoka.
That was big.
That was huge. That's an animation only character coming.
That was like they hit, like Ahsoka fits that group of people that watched Clone Wars when they were kids.
Yep.
Right, because I remember Ahsoka because I watched Clone Wars growing up, but I didn't watch until Bo-Katan. Right.
Okay, I see.
So, but as a kid, like on what was it? Cartoon Network, they'd air Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and I remember Ahsoka. Everybody remembers Ahsoka.
Yeah, that was a pretty big one. I mean, she was like that. If in reality, she is like probably the main character of that show. If I had to pick one, it would be her. Her story is what ends the show. Because it ends with her on Malachor. Or not Malachor. On Mandalore, actually.
Yeah, Mandalore.
Right after the Battle of Mandalore.
Yeah.
So like she is the main character of the Clone Wars. Pretty straightforwardly, and just seeing her in live action is fucking crazy. I remember when the leaks happened, And I was like, there's no way. And then as things kind of kept leaning to like, it's going to happen. And then when Bo-Katan says, I know a Jedi, Ahsoka, it's like, holy shit. What the fuck is happening? And now she has her own show. So it's like, there's a lot of craziness with it.
That's the one thing I don't like.
Yeah.
That they hyped her up for this season. And she does play a part of it, but it's literally one episode.
But granted, it's understandable because like, what it's like, who knows what the fuck she's actually been doing?
It actually is a big question. Like, that's why I said,
I know it's hard to keep everything under wraps. It was probably going to be impossible for it, but I wish they would have saved it as much as they saved the finale's cameo.
I think that's harder because you had to have this chick in full makeup.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have Rosario Dawson fully set up for this. Whereas in the finale, you needed someone who wasn't Mark Hamill in a suit, and then you CGI to face over it.
Yeah.
So I think that this would have been a lot harder to keep under wraps. I think
Dude,
I also mean
the fact that it looked that good in the first place.
Ahsoka?
Yeah.
Ahsoka
had no business looking that good.
It's surprising. Like, I think that is like an episode I really liked of the season.
Yeah.
Was when the Mandalorian meets her. Because like if you're a new viewer who doesn't know anything about Ahsoka, you can treat it like, oh, Jedi.
They found a Jedi.
That
has white lightsabers.
Yeah, fucking your purified lightsabers. I remember there was rumors they were going to be blue for some reason, and I was like, please don't be blue. They kept the purified white. That's the way to do it. I'm very glad about that. And I don't mind that it's a backdoor pilot because I have all the experience with her. So it's like she like at the end of the episode.
What I feel like is that even people who like casually watch Clone Wars wouldn't mind it. Like people growing up, because I don't mind it.
Yeah. I think it depends on like, I think if you're like someone who's never seen anything and you're like, okay, this orange chick is asking for this guy called Grand Admiral Thrawn. I don't know who that is, but it's like, damn, the more context you have, like when she was like, saying who wears your master, I'm like, okay, it could be Thrawn, but there's no way it'd be Thrawn. And
then they name dropped him, and
they name drop him.
When they name dropped him, I was like, who the fuck is that guy?
They name dropped him and I yelled a little bit. And it's worse because like there were actually hints throughout the episode. If you look at the not the bounty hunter droids, but like the guard droids they have there, they actually have the signet for Thrawn's, I think it's his 7th fleet.
Oh.
Yeah, on their arms, or 7th or 6th. I always forget. Like,
so yeah, it's like symbol. These little details. I didn't catch
that, but like if I did, holy shit. But yeah, little details like that. And that's probably what the Ahsoka show is going to touch on. Grand Admiral Thrawn seemingly building a fleet because he's working with a fleet master. But we can talk about the potential future for this stuff in a bit because there's a lot to talk about for Mandalorian.
There's a lot to talk about season 2.
Yeah. So let's see. Who is after Ahsoka? Yes. The boy. The man.
The myth. The legend.
I have waited 6 years to find out if this guy was alive. 6 years. No, like that's not a joke. In the Aftermath book, they like Cobb Vanth finds Boba Fett's armor.
Yeah.
But they decide not to mention if Boba Fett's alive or not. So I just waited patiently.
Which, you know, it's like super surprising how big of a character Boba Fett became.
I'm so excited. I'm so happy for Boba Fett.
In the original movies for like
5 minutes.
He literally had like 5 minutes of screen time.
He got beaten up by a blind Han Solo.
Yeah.
It was not good. It was very sad.
Yeah,
like,
they made him seem like really depressed, like just like a sad character.
Like the thing is, the old extended universe with like Shadows of the Empire. Is it Shadows of the Empire? I think it's Shadows of the Empire. And like a bunch of other shit. They all like made Boba Fett a badass. But then the movies didn't show that. And I was like, originally they were rumored to have a Boba Fett movie by the guy who did Logan. But for some reason it fell through. And it seems like that idea would eventually have developed into The Mandalorian. And now going forward, the spin-off series, Book of Boba Fett. I'm pretty fine with that, honestly. Yeah. I'm pretty okay with how things turned out. Because I got Boba Fett alive.
I love Boba Fett in the show.
The scene, his intro scene, like when he properly comes in.
Yeah,
they're taking Baby Yoda to a Jedi temple on Tython to sit on a seeing stone and to attempt to contact other Jedi.
Yeah,
and then Boba Fett gets there and he's like, "Listen, you give me my armor, I'll help you protect the kid." And Mando's like, "Yeah, fuck it, I'll give you your armor." So Boba Fett proceeds to beat the shit out of a legion of stormtroopers.
Yep.
And I mean demolish them.
I just love that you could see him using every piece of armor that he, like every weapon, everything he had on.
So good. he was using a fucking sand people, like their staffs, and just smashing open like stormtrooper armor like nothing. It was so fucking cool.
like that's what like when you picture a Mandalorian, like it's Boba Fett.
And it's funny because Boba Fett, like technically, is like it's hard to say if he's a Mandalorian or not.
Yeah, that's a whole nother fucking.
His father was a foundling, and he is the clone of his father. So,
yeah.
Like, he's got
like
two
I guess
separated.
Technically in Mandalorian culture he's not.
It depends on which Mandalorian culture, because if we follow like the Watch, like they're called, which is Din Djarin's particular Mandalorian people,
the cult.
They believe the cult. They're a religious cult. They believe that as long as you follow the way, you're a Mandalorian.
Yeah. So, but there is like some kind of ritual, right?
It seems like there's like certain caveats, but it follows like the old Legends Mandalorian way, where if you're a warrior, you're a Mandalorian, and if you follow the way of the Mandalore, so it's like it's very Legends inspired.
Yeah,
which I'm really excited to see back, because it was always a little bit messy when Clone Wars tried to like define Jango as not a bounty hunter. It was weird. I'm happy to see how it turned out, because we got badass Jango. Badass Boba.
We got badass Boba Fett in this
played
show.
by Tamara Morrison as well.
Yeah.
God, that was like the
That's
moment
the greatest
I saw
part,
the
I think.
Slave One come into screen. I was one of the most hype moments I had on the entire show. My second most hype moment. It was really good. Plus, we get really good like clone humor.
Yeah.
Like later on in the next episode, they actually rescue Bill Burr's character, which is in a great episode. We'll touch on that in a second. But when they're like, Boba, should you go in to break into this Imperial base? And he's like, they might recognize my face.
Yeah.
Because he's a clone.
Yeah.
He's a clone troop. It's the best fucking joke in all of Star Wars.
That episode has a lot of great moments, not only for Boba and everybody, but for Bill Burr's character.
Bill Burr's character he has done justice.
It's so funny that Bill Burr's in Star Wars. This is a guy that spent years like making fun of Star Wars.
Yeah. Like I like how it's also just Bill Burr. Like truthfully, he's just Bill Burr.
He's just playing himself. He's not playing himself. He's just playing himself throughout the whole show, which is kind of fucking funny.
Yeah, but they give him PTSD, and also they name drop Operation Cinder. And Operation Cinder was introduced in the Battlefront 2 campaign mode, which I've played twice. And they actually name dropped that operation as like the reason his platoon was killed in action. And I was like, wow, more tiny canon tidbits for an addict like me to consume, and B, they made Bill Burr a deeply traumatized PTSD having ex-Imperial sharpshooter.
Yeah,
with a fantastic scene.
That scene when he's talking to his general or commanding officer, whatever, when he's just talking to him and detailing, it goes from let's just chat, and then he slowly, like, you see his face slowly turn from not satisfied, but semi-okay, into just troubled and looking back at the horrors he's seen of everyone dying.
Yeah, so good.
It's a great scene, and actually, like, kind of a testament to Bill Burr's ability to act. Like, I would never really pitch like Bill Burr as like a good actor. Like, I've only really seen him in a few things.
Well, he's done more acting recently. He's in King of Staten Island.
Oh, is he? I haven't seen that. Okay.
The overall movie is okay. It's like whatever. But him and Pete Davidson are good in it.
Okay. I've really only seen him try to steal a gold chain from a corpse in New Girl, and in F for Family. So that's pretty much the extent of my experience with Bill Burr.
I need to see F for Family, and I didn't get that far on New Girl.
Huh. But yeah, like, he was really good in this. That episode I expected to be a bit of like a slow one, because the whole point is Baby Yoda's been kidnapped by Moff Gideon.
Yep.
And now they have to go get Baby Yoda. So like, he gets Bill Burr to sneak into this place to get the information they need. And I thought, okay, this is going to be kind of like meh, whatever, build up for the finale. But it was actually good. It was actually a pretty good episode.
One question. I like how they after his job is done, they leave. They let him go. They let Bill Burr's character go.
Yeah, they just like let him
on the planet that he was originally on. Like the planet that he just blew up our entire base.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh, you can go." It's like, where was he going exactly?
He's just chilling there. He's a hermit now.
Let him have a good time. He'll find his way. He's Bill Burr's character.
He's good old Obi-Wan on Tatooine.
He's gonna age 20 years. And
I wish they kept him along, but I get why. I get why they didn't.
Yeah, I also honestly thought they were gonna bring him. Like he was gonna say, "Let me help you find the kid" or something. But they didn't, and that's fine. I really have no big problem with it. Yeah. I'm just surprised by how much I liked his character.
Yeah, he's great.
I think we all were.
Yeah. And that leads us to actually no. Well, before we talk on the finale, there's a couple of things I do wanna hit. Before we talk about all the really big shit at the very end.
Yeah.
One, I like the technology behind this show a lot. In terms of like Lucasfilm has been using ILM stagecraft, which if you've ever seen it, it is basically they put you in almost a giant box, and then the box projects the world you're supposed to be in, and that's where they film it.
Yeah.
And that is the most futuristic shit I've ever seen for filmmaking. And also the reason why Disney's able to produce so much shit during the pandemic.
Yep.
It's actually fucking insane to me. Like that, like it's such a small thing, but that technology is blowing my fucking mind.
And like it looks great.
It looks so good. You would never think it was filmed with anything other than the traditional methods.
Yeah.
But it looks fantastic. A second thing, I hate the new Star Wars swear word. I don't like it. They had so many others in the past. Carabast, in my opinion, is perfect.
Yeah.
And they keep fucking using dank ferric.
Which is just they threw a new word in. They made up a word and they're just like, this is the new thing.
I hate it because they keep pushing it too. It's like they didn't just do like once. It's like happens like 4 or 5 times in the season. Dang, and not even like it's not like a Mandalorian curse word.
No, it's just a new thing.
Fucking Cara Dune's using it. It's dank ferric.
Like somehow every language across the galaxy was just like dank ferric.
I don't. Hold on. I need to know what language it's in because if it's not Huttese. No, it can't be.
No, it's not. It's not Huttese. No way.
Dank ferric is a staple swear word in the Mandalorian. Language, please. Okay, it's not Huttese because Huttese has Echuta, which is fine. I like Echuta.
That's a good one. But they also fucked that one over in Mando.
Did they?
Yeah.
How so? I don't remember that.
There were a couple of times where they used it as like kind of like a greeting. It was a little upsetting.
I can't remember that, but now I kind of want to check again. We have Sleemo, Bantapudu, Carabas is like a swear. We have Criff and Criffing. I don't know. They can't seem to give me the language for it right now. Either way,
because they don't have one. Because they made the word up and they just threw it in there. They didn't think of a fucking backstory for it. They just threw it in there.
My Star Wars swears need lore. I want a fucking book series on the origin of Dank Ferric. Damn it, that's what I want.
Yeah,
Dank Ferric, a Star Wars story. I want it to have a 10-episode miniseries, and I want it to tie into the larger universe. God, this franchise is strange.
Yeah.
Also, one last thing before we touch on the real shit. This show has one piece of music that's not very good. You're telling me you don't like the EDM that comes out there randomly? I really don't think House and you don't think it fits the whimsical Star Wars universe really work well together. You don't think so? No, I think that piece of music's fucking trash. I truly do. I love everything else the composer did this in this show except that one track. It was so out of place. Fucking it was. I get what he was going for the whole techno, the enemies, they're just robot. I feel like it should have been closer to like synthwave. Mm-hmm. Less relaxing than synthwave, but something synthwave-esque. Or just add synth. You can do it with synths, just not. It doesn't have to be synthwave. It just has to be an electronic. Yeah, it just has to be electronic. Just not house, not EDM. That it sounded like it's not how. I don't know what these words mean. I'm saying things. I don't like it. House is like the most popular version of EDM. Okay, I feel like. Tyler, you're the music man. What it was is it's the stereotypical EDM. Like what we heard when the score came up. Yes, it's EDM. What it actually is, I don't know the specific genre. I just know it's not house. House is a lot more easygoing. I guess easygoing. It's more like dancey. Yeah, house is way more dancey. I guess it's a fair way to look at it. Yeah. I truly don't know shit. I just know I hate that piece of music. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Now we've abandoned all pretext. It was super out of place. Yeah, it was super fucking out of place. I agree. But now that we've abandoned all pretext, we can talk about the thing that really matters. They brought Luke fucking Skywalker into the show.
Yeah.
Which
was just like
my God.
They brought like you see they cut to the X-wing flying in, right? And it's
the
like
moment.
No,
I'm sorry.
Maybe that's Luke Skywalker, but maybe it isn't.
Me and Chris both went back multiple times.
Yeah.
And then they cut to just a Jedi, like dark, like you can't tell who it is. And it's like, maybe it's Luke Skywalker, but maybe it isn't. And then you see the green lightsaber.
Man, even when I saw the green lightsaber, I thought, no, it can't be Luke. It has to be Quinlan Vos. Because there was no fucking way in hell I believe that, like, they said, like, lone X-wing. And I'm like, no, it can't. They show the hooded finger. I'm like, Ahsoka. I'm thinking there has to be something else. There's no way.
Like, there's no way they brought Luke Skywalker in here. No fucking way. Like, I don't believe it.
I refuse. Like, even when the evidence was looking at me in the eyes, I had to lie to myself. It wasn't until I got a good look at the hilt and I knew I couldn't deny it any further. Then it was like, holy fucking shit. It's Luke Skywalker.
I do like how they gave him a hallway scene like they gave Vader in Rogue One.
I like it. I'm gonna go say a little thing real quick. I think Rogue One's an okay movie. I don't love Rogue One, right? So I kind of hate that, like, people, they saw like, Luke had a hallway scene like his father before him, right? And people are calling it like a cinematic parallel, and it's really fucking not.
No.
That's not how that works.
It's not cinematic parallel.
It's not. I know. I'm not saying you say this. I just want to vent about people who do say this.
But you didn't like. You thought Rogue One was okay.
I think Rogue One's okay.
I thought it was okay.
I think it has a very.
That's true. Actually, the first half is like so fucking
The first and
boring.
second act is really weak, and the characters are basically non-existent.
Dude, I watched that movie like 4 times in theaters, and I fell asleep twice.
I mean, I've watched every Star Wars movie at least 10 times at this point.
No, but like I went to theaters like 4 times to watch it.
I think someone else we know fell asleep during Rogue One as well.
That was probably me.
I think it was also Fabio.
Maybe.
Maybe someone else. I can't remember. Either way, it has problems. It's not like this masterpiece. Like, I've seen people call it a masterpiece war film. It's really not that.
But it does fill a major plot hole.
It fills a major plot. It's really, I enjoy it.
Amazing.
Huh?
The ending, the last 30 minutes is what
like as an action sequence, the last third of the movie is awesome. But I find it hard to be very invested in it when I don't care about these people on this mission, because they've been given like 1 or 2 character traits and they've not been given really the time to bounce off each other in an interesting way. Like, the character I cared the most about was the droid K2SO, pretty much because he was played by Alan Tudyk. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
He's really charming. Like, it's pretty much it. Like, if I asked you to like give me traits about Jyn Erso that are shown and not told to us, I don't think either of you can give.
Can't think of it. No,
I can think of some because I've seen the movie a lot, but like, they're not particularly interesting ones, and they're not used or shown in interesting ways. This is all just event. People keep saying that this is like a cinematic parallel. I hate it because that's not what's happening. It's just a really nice reference. It's all it is. It's really fun.
I mean, I think people just remember the back half.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people who really praise Rogue One as like the best Disney era Star Wars film, and I strongly disagree with that. I think it's my least favorite Disney era Star Wars film.
But I think it was the start of Disney putting out good shit.
Yeah, I don't
which
like
is questionable with the sequels.
I don't like The Force Awakens very much, but I think that every other Disney Star Wars film, aside even The Force Awakens, I think are all better than Rogue One, pretty easily to me.
Okay, questionable, but that's okay. We don't have time to argue this.
Yeah, you can't argue. You argue me this when we get to those movies. But yeah, so Luke gets a really badass hallway scene.
Yep.
He gets a really good piece of music too.
Yep.
I like that piece of music they gave him. He's chopping through these Darksaber droids who are gonna absolutely wipe the floor with the crew. And then he gets in there, he lifts his helmet, and he says, Mandalorian, I'm taking your child. He's coming with me. Basically.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. And he takes Baby Yoda away. That's how season 2 ends. Baby Yoda goes with Luke, and everyone else is left standing in the bridge of a ship, trying to think about what they're gonna do going forward.
Acting during that scene when he takes, first off, anytime he takes off his helmet is really great because you see how Mando is straight up naked without it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see how uncomfortable he is without fucking everything.
Yeah, again, Pedro Pascal is just a great actor.
Yeah. Pedro Pascal's really good. He's been getting work. He was in Wonder Woman 1984, which me and Tyler both watched. It's not very good at all.
No.
That's for another episode.
And that's for another episode.
I hope not.
It's not very good. Oh, now I want to make Tyler watch it again.
I'm not gonna watch it again.
I'm gonna wait like 2 years. I'm gonna wait like 2 or
just
3
until
years
he
so
forgot
you
about
have
it.
to watch it. Yeah, just so that it gets out of your memory.
Oh, okay. I'll have fun laughing at the stupidity of half the shit.
Yeah, and then you'll be really bored for the other half. I still win.
Yeah.
Either way, I think that this ending, I think it's pretty interesting. It's like a cliffhanger, and it definitely has a lot of implications.
Yeah.
What implications of that, Chris?
Well, the implications are that Grogu, Baby Yoda is going to go to a second school shooting.
God damn you! I was trying to get you into this.
Yeah, I know you were trying, but I can always win.
It is a second school shooting.
Yeah,
because he was there for the Jedi Temple purge.
Yeah, and like I don't think that's going to happen. I definitely don't think Baby Yoda is going to die at when the Jedi Temple falls, when Ben Solo turns to the dark side.
But I wonder how they're going to tie that into the new movies, right?
I don't think Disney made a
because
like that if he was to die. There's no way Disney would have made this cute cuddly character and be like, oh, he's going to die.
He's not going to die. There's no way in hell.
But is this like an assumption that like he won't be old enough in the sequels to make a difference?
So here's the thing that's kind of weird. Right now he's about 50 years old, right?
Yeah, but he's still a baby.
He's still a baby. I'm just saying because it's weird because we have one piece of, I don't know if it's canon or like secondary canon information that says when Yoda was 100 years old, he'd already become a Jedi Master.
Yeah.
So either that number is completely wrong, or once, I don't know, maybe Yoda's gonna have a hell of a growth spurt really fast. That, or adult Yoda was like a toddler when he became a Jedi Master. Like those numbers just don't add up.
Yeah, it does say he was 100 when he was 100. He was
I can't
find Master.
I can't find the source for that, so I don't know where that's actually listed. If
it's on the Star Wars wiki.
The Star Wars wiki still says that.
Yeah.
What's his name? The fat guy at the end of the show in the post-credit scene. Bib Fortuna. It still says Bib Fortuna got killed in Jabba's barge, so we can't really trust that.
Yeah,
that's like
we can't.
Tertiary canon.
Yeah.
But like technically speaking, if we assume kind of the ages how it's going, Baby Yoda will be 79 by the end of the sequel trilogy. Which is still very young, probably as Baby Yoda. He'll be a child. I don't think he would be any use.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like I could see like that he is at Luke's temple when it falls, but like we've seen how the temple gets destroyed in canon.
Wow.
It's mostly Palpatine. Palpatine seemingly like destroys it, but he doesn't like send troopers to Order 66 it or anything.
Yeah,
like no one makes sure that everyone's dead. So I could see like we already knew that a group of Luke students weren't even on planet at the time, and then they come back and they try hunting down Ben Solo, and he ends up killing them as they chase him down. So it's very possible that other students survived, or maybe Baby Yoda wasn't even on the fucking planet. Or
maybe
Luke
he wasn't even
giving
there.
Baby Yoda back. Like there's 1,000 ways that Baby Yoda isn't going to.
I'm just curious as to how they're going to take it.
I'm very curious as well.
Because there needs to be a way for it to make sense.
Rey is definitely going to see Baby Yoda at some point down the line in canon. Like that's just an inevitability, I feel. Because there's no way they're going to murder him.
Yeah, I don't think so. He's made too much money to be murdered in cold blood.
He's so much merch. You can't kill your merch like that.
Which is going to be weird when he's not going to be in the show.
I think it'll be good for the show.
Well,
yeah, I do wonder where they're going to take the show from here.
Like it looks like the show is going to be focused on like Mandalorian unification.
Yeah,
because like that's the current plot thread. Like Jin has the Darksaber. Bo wants the Darksaber to be the leader of Mandalore. Antics ensue. We also know that the Mandalorian and Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka are all going to be tying together in one kind of climactic event.
Yeah.
Judging by the fact that Thrawn was name dropped in Ahsoka, it could be that that's the climactic event, that we're getting kind of like an Heir to the Empire TV special type of thing.
Yeah.
Which I'd be very excited to see. And that could basically be what maybe Moff Gideon was working for Thrawn and not for maybe he was on his own, or maybe he's ties to what will become the First Order. There's a lot of ways they
have a lot of options here. I just hope they pick the right one.
I don't know if I want it to be Thrawn or First Order related.
I just hope they pick one that's interesting.
I feel like it personally, I want it to be one of the two, because we had that one scene where it's on Devarro where Mandalorian goes back and he meets up with Carl's brothers and they like attack like an Imperial base.
Yeah.
And in the tanks, you see like these weird body things, right?
Yeah.
But as they approach the tanks, Snoke's theme plays. So it would seem like the thing in the tanks were early attempts to create like a homunculus like Snoke.
Okay.
If he's an homunculus and not originally a human. We don't really know yet. But whatever Snoke is, that would seemingly have been a prototype. So I would be kind of okay if they decided to go like tying it to the First Order and just tying it to the sequels more heavily in the same way that like Clone Wars adds a lot to the plot holes that the prequels have. This could do pretty much the same thing as it goes forward. I'd like it to go that way. I could see it going Thrawn still because of the Ahsoka show.
Yeah, either way would be good. I feel
either way, I'm very excited for the future of Star Wars TV.
Yeah. The showrunner is Jon Favreau and Filoni. What is he showrunner? No, is he the showrunner or no?
He is. He's specifically showrunning, I think, Ahsoka.
Well, I mean,
and then he's running Mandalorian.
Yeah,
and then Filoni has
good hands. It shows in good hands, so I trust that both of them would have an idea of what they're wrapping up to.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, also like Star Wars TV as a whole, there's like 11 projects announced right now.
Yeah, they've announced a lot of shit, and I'm hoping.
I can't wait. Acolyte is by far the most hyped of the all for me, but like Lando, that's fucking good. Obi-Wan, Rangers of the New Republic. So
I'm excited actually for Obi-Wan and Ahsoka a lot.
I have a Ahsoka problem. I actually mentioned that I was going to say this. We hear Ahsoka's voice at the end of Rise of Skywalker, which implies that she's very dead at that point.
Yeah,
good. Sounds kind of perfect to me. I feel like that's a long enough time that you can bookend your character within this point. But then like Filoni kind of like was like, well, I don't really see it that way. And then he tweets out like a picture of Gandalf, and Gandalf's like saying, or a drawing of Gandalf, and Gandalf saying like, people thought I was dead once too. And it's like, Filoni, you got to let her go at some point.
Yeah.
She can't really be at the end of the sequel trilogy, buddy. You got to kill her eventually.
Because if she's at the end of the sequel trilogy and it's just like,
that raises fucking
why would like that raises the Baby Yoda question.
Yeah, like
why wasn't she there?
I can justify why she doesn't do anything during the original trilogy.
Yeah,
maybe she's like completely focused on Thrawn in the unknown regions, and she leaves everything else. Like I can justify that.
Or like she can't bring herself to fight up against like her old master or whatever. Like that's fine. Like that's fine.
I can't justify it for the sequel trilogy. She needs to be dead.
Yeah, she needs to be dead.
Cosmic space, she can't she needs to be in either deep in some Force related shit that she is basically no longer a piece on the board ever again, or she needs to be dead.
There has to be a legitimate reason.
Yeah, it's like that's my biggest worry. That like, will Filoni be okay enough to kill his babied character? It's like his favorite one. I hope.
All right. Closing thoughts on Mando?
I like it. It's fun.
I mean,
Star Wars makes me happy.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Me, best episodes is probably, the finale is amazing, but the Bilbo episode with the Bilbo second episode is one of my favorite.
Frog Lady is all I need in life. I would protect her.
Frog Lady.
That Frog Lady. That's my last thought.
All right, on that note,
we're walking.
Tyler.
Walking over to Joss Whedon's 2002 canceled series Firefly. This show is on every list that comes up for shows canceled too soon, and for good reason. It's the space western that was on Fox about this ragtime group of, they're not bounty hunters, they smugglers. Smugglers, that's what it is. They're smugglers, they just take jobs, get into trouble, and keep pushing. And all led by the always charming and very likable Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion's so fucking charming.
Yeah.
I truly love Nathan Fillion. I do want to start this by saying I think we can all agree that Fox is fucking was I guess really, because they're not really themselves anymore. Fox could not handle a property for shit.
No.
Man, like they botched X-Men, they botched this. Like Fox is famous for canceling the Deadpool.
Do you think that maybe this show came out too early though?
Kinda.
Maybe. I can agree with that. I mean, Joss Whedon was hot off of Buffy at this point, right?
Yeah, that also is a stupid thing that is like, oh, we got this guy fresh off a show that everybody loved and it was huge.
People went crazy for it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's going to sound weird, but like space western shows, maybe not for like main cable.
Maybe. I can understand that because main cable is like, this might sound really like pretentious of me, but it's kind of derivative. It's a lot of sitcoms.
No, that's what I'm thinking.
Sitcoms and cop shows.
And superhero now because of the CW.
That's still
it's still kind of a procedural cop show at that point.
Yeah, it's literally a procedural cop show. It's they just put cops
in superheroes
as superheroes.
Yeah, and they're not very good.
Yeah, I said it. No, they all suck.
As a big DC Comics person,
DC every single one of them. I don't think there's a single show that's good.
I liked the first 2 seasons of Arrow.
Yeah, but that's every DC show. I like the first season or the first 2 seasons, and then they somehow managed to stretch it on into 20.
And it's not very good. No, I agree.
Don't get me started because I wasted fucking like a week or like 2 weeks watching fucking Arrow. I watched like 4 seasons.
Listen, as a huge Green Arrow fan, like in the comics, pain. He's just Batman light, but we can't go into that right now.
All right, yeah, no, sorry. I just got really pissed off for a second there.
I get it. Listen, I'm really pissed off now. I have literally a Green Arrow comic tab open right now, and now it's just triggering me. But yeah, maybe like a space western was a bit much for like early cable. Like I can understand that. It's just a bummer that like Fox didn't see what they had.
Yeah, because this was a really good show.
Yeah, the first season, like it only had 1 season, and it was good.
It shows so much promise for what it could be because the story, besides it basically is a week, like each week you have a new adventure, but there's the overarching story of one of the crew members. Well, she was a stowaway because her brother got her on the ship because he's trying to protect it. The brother being the doctor, Simon. He's trying to protect his sister because she was sent off to this weird academy that did some experiments on her. So now she's just fucked up. So
yeah, they cut out her amygdala.
Yeah, which means like
for what?
Amygdala oblongata, the part of your brain. Do you guys all also not remember that one particular part of the brain?
No, that's not what it's called. I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure that was it.
Wait, what are you saying, Chris?
Amygdala. Amygdala. It begins with an A, but I always pronounce it wrong. Amygdala. And then the full name is amygdala oblongata.
Isn't it medulla oblongata?
Yeah, I was about to say, he was trying to say medulla.
Actually, I think it's really interesting with the show that it truly is like you can kind of take this show and place it as a Western and it'd be pretty much 1-to-1.
But then they have the river storyline, which I don't like.
Tyler doesn't like it. That's right. I have no problem with it.
I didn't
really have a problem with it.
I didn't have a problem with it. I just, anytime that it wasn't focused on the Academy trying to recapture her, the best episodes happened or the best shit happened.
I can agree with that. Like I'm thinking like the best episode of the whole show is Out of Gas,
which is mainly a flash. It's not mainly a flashback episode, but it's a flashback episode showing how the crew members got on the ship and how the ship came to be with Mal and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also at the same time, it flashes forward to
present day.
Yeah, flashes forward to present day, I should say. And they're basically Mal's out of gas. He's shot, and he's trying to get help so that because they're out of fuel and the ship's stranded, and he's trying to put a piece back together in order to make the ship run again. And
he basically sacrifices himself and sends the crew off. Hey, there's two ships, two shuttles. They're not gonna get you very far, but like you 4 people, there's 8 people. You 4 split amongst yourselves, go in opposite directions, and see if you can find help. And I'll stay on the ship in case somebody actually gets our distress call. So it's a really good. If that was the last episode, the actual ending for the show, not the movie that actually ends everything, would be more satisfactory because you get this nice little of, oh, how did you get here? And you get this, he obviously survives by the end, so it'd be a nice last episode.
Yeah, I can see that. It's definitely more conclusive than what we got, which was just like a bounty hunter episode, a bounty hunter coming in to try and take River.
Yeah.
I do think that the bounty hunter episode we got does help develop Mal, who is our main character played by Nathan Fillion, and River's character dynamic a bit more. It kind of helps build them up together. Because I think that is the strongest part. Well, actually, let me touch on something I didn't get to say before. You could literally take this show and drop it in Old West, and it's literally like one for one. Like basically. Mal is basically a Confederate soldier who lost to the Union, and is real bitter about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like he basically went to the far west where he could be free from like the Union's controlling hand. And let's be real, but until the movie, right? Because the movie changes some stuff about Reavers as we understand them.
And
they're basically just a really fucked up depiction of Native Americans as they were back in the day. Like if you were to look at like books like of old Western content from back in the day, right? Like really back in. Native Americans were basically depicted as the Reavers are in the show, as like murderous rapists who like will take your caravan and kill everyone in there and eat them and and all that. So that was basically just like the villain. Like this is literally like a classical Old West setting, and Joss Whedon's like, but what if it was spacey?
Yeah.
And it works really well.
Very, very well.
It ends up working very well. Like again, like the cast is just super fucking good together. They all have like fantastic dynamics. Everyone has a really interesting way of working with one another. And I think that's the strongest part of the show. It's just how good the cast is.
Everybody is the best.
I think someone once said like, if you want to make a really good cast dynamic, if you want it to be that if you were to give each character the same problem, they would each have a completely different way of handling it.
Yeah.
And that is spot on to why this cast the chemistry between these characters is so good.
It was crazy good.
Yeah. Like Jane,
which is why it really, really sucks that it was only one season.
Yeah. Like it is a shame. You really grow to enjoy these characters. Like even people who don't really get a lot within the show, like the Shepherd. I ended up really liking the Shepherd while watching this.
I feel like for such a short amount of time, like they built such a great attraction to each character or attachment to each character. Like you liked basically every character, or like you knew everything you needed to know about every character.
Like, even people who are assholes like Jane, they get like an episode that pretty heavily redefines them as a character.
Yeah.
In a really interesting way. And it's personally one of my favorite episodes in the show.
Like I legitimately think the show was just too ahead of its time, and that's why it got canceled.
That's fair. I mean, I'd agree with that. I'd honestly
because if this came out now,
well, right now I would say it's a Mando clone, but
if it came out before
like
Mando,
2 years ago.
like 2 years ago, yeah, like before Mando, I think it'd be like a major show.
Oh, yeah, it would have been 100%.
Because it's also one of the shows that Whedon's known for his whole.
Whedon's known for a few things now.
Well, I mean, his writing style.
Yeah.
His writing style of having like a bunch of quips and jokes thrown in there during like serious moments. Now people get pissed at it, but like
back in the day,
this.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what the first Avengers movie was.
Yeah, which we were okay with.
Yeah, which is why like Avengers.
Which is why good. Avengers became such a big thing.
Like people might want to hear this because like Sweden. We'll get to Sweden in a bit, but like basically Avengers is kind of good because of that writing style.
Yeah.
Like people say it's overblown now, but the fact was when you had such a like an ensemble cast like that, you needed these types of quips for chemistry, and he knew how to do ensemble cast really fucking well.
Yeah.
Like he botched Justice League to shit, which again we'll get to, but he did Avengers fantastically.
Yeah, and that was like the kickstart of.
Yeah, that was the true like opener of the MCU. When I watched that movie 6 times in theaters.
That's when it was like.
Realized.
Yeah.
Disney was like, "We got Chris. We got him. We got it. It's over."
And then they bought Star Wars.
and then they bought Star Wars as if they didn't already have me. I actually don't care for Marvel that much. Either way.
Yeah, which is surprising, but we'll move on.
Yeah, I don't care for Marvel comics. I like the movies well enough, but I'm not like, as big as you would expect me to be. Fair. I'm big enough. But yeah, one of my favorite episodes in the show, because I figure this is a pretty good show, like to pick a favorite episode. We talked about Out of Gas, but another personal favorite of mine, and maybe my second favorite, is Janestown.
Probably my favorite, actually.
Yeah, it's really good. Where Jane, who is the asshole of the group, he's a complete prick. He's a fire first, ask questions later.
Straight up mercenary, all about the money type of guy. He betrayed his last boss to join
the traditional Western badass.
He's a scumbag.
Yeah,
he's a total scumbag.
Even his flashback in Out of Gas is literally just that.
He betrays Mal for money. Even though he betrays his old boss for Mal offering him money.
Yeah,
it's great. And in this episode, I fucking love it. He goes to a town where he used to do a job, and in the job went to shit, and he ended up dropping off the payload over this town of miners, and it ended up like inspiring it was a job, like the stuff that he dropped was like a shit ton of gold, and it inspired the miners to like rise up and defend themselves to protect the money he gave them.
Yeah,
and, like they basically like start unionizing, and like they have like a rebellion, and they call him the hero of Jamestown for dropping this money on them. He's like the Robin Hood to them. But in reality, the job just went to shit, and he was going to crash and get caught unless he dropped the gold. He wasn't a hero. Yeah,
it was like just the hero out of like misfortune.
For him, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that episode is great when the kid who looks up to him because he's portrayed as a hero, there's a huge statue of him, and the kid literally jumps in front of a bullet to protect him, even though they just learned that what he did wasn't for heroic reasons.
He runs into his old partner in the job, and he admits that he was like a fraud, and yet the guy still gives his life for him. And I love this the scene he has with Mal at the end of the episode, where he's talking about like it's kind of like he's not a hero. Why did that kid jump in front of it for him? And Mal's basically just like, what really matters is what it meant to them and not what you actually did. And it's like, damn, that's so fucking good, and that's such a great like development for Jane as a character. And
that seems great. That seems great, but that's not my favorite scene involving Mal and Jane. In Ariel, which is when when Simon and River go to this city, and he's trying to basically give her a CAT scan and see what the hell's wrong with her brain. Yeah, but Jane hears about the reward that's on River and Simon's head, so he immediately tries to betray them. Immediately think shit goes wrong. He saves both of them, but Mal knows that he betrayed him, meaning that anytime you fuck with the group, you fuck with Mal, and Mal threatened to literally toss him off the ship as it was flying into space. That last scene's amazing.
Yeah, I like how it's like the only reason he seems like he doesn't do it is because Jane's like make something up, don't tell him what I did.
Because Jane knows it. Jane feels bad about it.
Yeah, he knows what he did was fucked. Like he still regrets it. Like later on, we see an episode where River reads his mind, and he's like, "I fucked up. I got stupid." So like he does regret it, and he does actually care what the crew thinks of him. He doesn't want to be known as the traitor.
Yeah,
like it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah,
and I think this leads us pretty well into the movie Serenity.
Well, actually, one thing I want to talk about before we move into the movie.
Actually, also, what's your favorite episode aside from Jamestown that we haven't mentioned?
Mine?
Yeah.
The train.
I don't know.
The train.
I really like Jamestown, and that's kind of the only one I remember right now.
That's fair.
But what I was going to mention, CGI in this show.
It's 2003.
Yeah.
You can't blame them too hard. This ain't Jurassic Park budget. I'm assuming Fox was giving them a box of gum and a pack of cigarettes every week to film the episode. Yes. So
also,
it's amazing it exists.
Also, the language in the show is really
weird. Yeah, it's weird because like it's never actually touched on in the show. Apparently, in some expanded material, the humans who survived after like Earth went to shit, like only 2 nations actually made it out of it, and there was the U.S. and China. So I mean, the universal language is a mix between seemingly Mandarin.
That's not explicitly stated in the show, but every summary is literally just that. So
yeah, but it's not stated in the show. I think it's like from some expanded material. I don't know what. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how much I like it. It sometimes feels a bit jarring.
Very dated.
Yeah,
I don't know about dated. I don't know about dated.
No, but I feel like if I watched this in 2003, I'd be fine with it, right? Because when I watched we're gonna go back to Star Wars here. When I watched the prequels, to me the CGI was fine at the time because it's like something new that you've never seen before.
Okay, you're talking about the CGI, not the language.
Well, the language. Sorry.
Okay. No, I was making sure.
No, I just fucking fucked up there.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
To be honest with you,
it could apply to both, honestly, though.
The language being dated.
Yeah, because I could see like this doesn't feel like something that really passed in modern TV. I don't think I could see a show doing this.
But does that mean it's dated or just unique?
I think dated. I think kind of like what Faison was saying. I wouldn't have really batted an eye.
But I was literally just fucking. I just mixed it up.
Roll
I'm not gonna roll with it. I'm gonna own up
to you.
I'm gonna own up to my mistake. It's late. I've been drinking. Like I'll own up to it.
I will say it confused the shit out of me because I watched the show before, like a year ago, and I rewatched it for this, or more than a year ago, and I watched it in about one sitting, overnight.
There's only 14 episodes.
Yeah, it's only 14 episodes, so it's not that long, and I watched it in one sitting.
It is very long though.
But I didn't sleep that night.
Like the pilot episode's literally 2 hours.
Yeah, the pilot's a movie.
I don't think I watched that episode because I don't think that was.
The pilot wasn't a thing.
It wasn't released properly, and I don't think Netflix had it when it was on Netflix. But I watched it overnight. And I thought I was going crazy because I couldn't fucking understand some of the words they were saying. So I just kind of assumed that, man, the sleep deprivedness is really getting to me. But rewatching it now, I realized they were talking in Chinese, which was definitely a great revelation.
It is a little weird. I don't think there's a reason for it.
Well, they did it because it's the only
Aesthetic choice.
left.
Huh?
Yeah, but
And
like
it's years in the future. So like when you're growing up, those are the only two you have. So
I
But
don't. I
like,
still think it's not that interesting.
I don't know. In my opinion, like at some point, wouldn't one language be dominant over the other?
Honestly, I think it would merge more cleanly. Like it wouldn't be I speak in English all the time and then I swear in Chinese. I feel like there'd be it would be a real blend of the dialects, you know? Like I'm not a linguistics major. I don't know much about languages, but I do know that languages change a lot during time and that they blend with
But
other
I mean,
languages.
even if you think of it, right? Somebody that grew up speaking like a different language, right? And learn English as a secondary language, like yes, they'll swear in their like if they're really really mad,
they'll swear in
they'll swear in their native language.
Yeah, that's actually a fair point because I have to assume that none of these people natively spoke Chinese.
Yeah. So
also a bit weird that there's not a single Asian person in the show for a universe that's supposed to be
early 2000s, Chris.
I mean, they had two black people on the cast for the early 2000s.
Still early 2000s.
You know what? You make a damn fine point. How can I disagree with that? I think this now brings us to Serenity, which is the movie finale for the show, right? Because the show got canceled, so 2 years later they make Serenity to be the finale, basically. Yeah, because I guess Fox gave them the budget for some. I don't know why. Like, what changed their mind that they're like, we'll give you a movie but not a show.
It was probably because like the fan
was it Fox though?
I have to assume because I'm pretty sure Fox.
No, they couldn't name it Firefly.
Oh.
Hold on. Why do you think right now? Serenity 2005.
I just assumed that was how you'd name it. I didn't. I actually definitely that actually raises a lot of questions.
Yeah, they would have just.
It was from Universal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I wonder. Does that mean Universal currently owns the rights to Firefly? Because I assume that it was still Fox and now Disney.
I'm pretty sure it's still Disney. Because the show is still under Fox. It's not like the show is now under Universal.
So, was Serenity technically supposed to be completely like non-canon, so to speak?
I'm pretty sure they just did it in a way that they couldn't get
screwed.
Like non-canon, but like it had the same,
Yeah, so like it's technically
the same
canon,
cast.
but technically not. That's very weird. I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah, but the movie's
okay.
The movie is a finale for a show that had 3 seasons.
That's the biggest.
Yeah.
Because
like how many years has it past the show, the first season?
Life?
In the show or in the movie?
In the movie,
or in the like real life? You mean? Because in real life,
it's 2 years, right? But does the movie take place? Like, how much later does it take place?
We don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know. The show ends off. The last episode in the show is
like 8 months later.
Is Anura is debating about leaving, and then by the movie she's already gone, and she's been gone for a little bit.
And Shepard's left too.
And Shepard's left.
Yeah. The movie, it definitely. I feel like because we talked about this pretty much as you were watching it, Tyler. You texted me about this that like certain characters feel off, especially the Doctor. And I agree completely. And it almost feels like because by the end of the season, a lot of characters had certain relationships that have developed. So like Mal and the Doc really got along. Mal and River had started to kind of get along. There was more of a dynamic that was kind of like they were getting better together. But here it feels like over time the relationship must have deteriorated to the point that now they're kind of at each other's throats again. Like either it reset or we have to assume it deteriorated.
Yeah, which we have no idea of happening. Like what happened.
Physical? Like, did he ever try and fight Mal?
I don't think he ever hit Mal till the movie.
Yeah, that was, and then when he did that, it was like the weirdest thing.
It was so sudden.
Yeah,
I like you have to assume that in the year, however long that passed, their relationship has fallen apart.
Yeah, like in the 2 seasons that were supposed to happen, something crazy happened.
I mean, yeah, same thing with Shepard. Like it seems like he's setting up like a covenant of some sort.
Yeah,
like for like these kids and stuff. And it's like, okay, that was never even remotely mentioned. Like it makes sense because he's like a man of religion, yeah. But like, that was never really touched on at all. And I also feel that. Like, because, we don't have an R, and R already left the crew, like you said, and Shepard's off world. It feels like because of that, the first act of the movie feels a bit unbalanced to me because the cast dynamic isn't there. Because Inara and Shepard were like 2 of the biggest voices of reason in the show to whatever craziness someone was talking about. So without them there, it felt a little bit weird to me.
It kind of felt like a standalone movie.
Yeah, it felt like a standalone movie, but without any context about the world. Like it
Yeah.
expects you to have watched Firefly to go
Yes.
into this. There doesn't give you.
Yeah,
doesn't
but it
speak
also
anything.
like expected you to forget about like all the
Certain
character
things.
development,
It
like
expected
certain
you to have
character
watched
developments.
Firefly 2
Yeah.
years ago
Yeah.
and then come to the theater. That's exactly
Yeah, so
what it
so like
felt
you remember like some of the things, but not all of them.
Yeah. I agree. It does. I think again, it just falls back to being Fox's fault, canceling the show too early. I feel like if we had 2 seasons of build up to get to this movie,
Yeah,
I think a lot of
I
things in
think
this
it'd be
movie
really
would hit
good.
better. There are some things in this movie I feel like wouldn't hit better, but I think there are a lot of things that would.
I feel like it's a good enough finale for what it is. Like you get kind of a you finish the main plot, which what we're gonna build toward with the Reavers and with River.
Yeah,
You finish that plot off, which I guess was gonna be the whole overarching
that was the
thing.
end game of the show.
Yeah, so you do solve that, even though it's a bit rushed. But I mean, like it's what they could do.
Yeah, I do want. I think it's kind of funny that the Reavers. It's basically Rage from 28 Days Later. It's I just find that kind of fucking hilarious. It's literally the same thing as Rage.
Yeah.
I think I think most of the movie's okay. Like there's not a lot of things that are like aggressively bad with the movie, but there is one kind of type of thing that didn't really sit super well with me that I kind of want to bring up here, and it's the deaths. I didn't feel like they were done well or to the right people.
Shepard's death is okay. It's still weird as hell that he's barely in the movie. He shows up. It's like, oh, you returned, and then the moment you leave and come back, he's dying.
Yeah.
Shepard's death feels like, again, it needed more build up to explain what he was doing here and why that mattered. Because if we had like a season where Shepard's talking about how he wants to make this convent type place and he wants to make this place for the kids, and then now in the movie Shepard dies and that place is burned down, it's like, oh shit, I fucking hate the Alliance now. You know what I mean? Like the stakes would feel higher.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do feel like Shepard kind of got an arc out of it. Like he shoots down the Alliance ship that was attacking him. So it's like he shoots down the Alliance ship, and it's kind of like, he was like a man of God, never gonna fight, but here he is like doing something that he says isn't very godly of him,
Yeah.
So I feel like he actually did get an arc with his death, so that's why it doesn't bother me too much. It's just another situation where it clearly felt like it needed more build up.
But
Wash's death makes no fucking sense. Hey, I got a joke for you guys that I wanted to remember how to do this joke. It's based off a meme I saw many years ago. What's the best way to clean a Reaver harpoon?
What?
You put it through the wash. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Huh?
But I wanted to just point out.
That was good, man. That was good.
Thank you.
I want to point out, Wash is played by Alan
Tudyk. He's fantastic. We've also talked about him now a second time because he was the villain in Doom Patrol.
Yes.
So he's a recurring character.
Also fantastic in that show.
Fantastic. He's also K2SO, who we talked about a little while ago.
Also fantastic.
Yeah.
3 times actually.
Yeah, he's a heavy hitter. He's coming back in again. We got to invite Alan Tudyk on the show. Alan Tudyk, if you ever for some reason hear this, please. I'd love to have you on.
Miracle.
I'll add him on Twitter.
Just tweet at him every single day.
Don't do that. Don't. Oh god, I feel awful. But if it works.
Yeah, if it works, it works.
Anyway,
yeah.
He's played great. The character is fun, but the one problem I have with the character is that he's Chance the Rapper and he loves his wife.
How dare a man love his wife? That bastard.
But that's his only character trait.
I don't think that's his only character trait. I think he has a little more going to him. He's got like a childlike aloofness to him. He has these dinosaurs in front of his ship, like in front of the cabinet. When he's flying in the final battle, he's just saying like these weird catchphrases. He's like a very lighthearted, kind of goofy fella.
Yeah, but then 90% of his lines are "my wife."
Hey, he's a man who's loyal. All right, I ain't gonna judge him for that. I ain't gonna judge him.
It's rare in space westerns.
It is very space western. I like Wash a lot.
Oh, I don't dislike him. I just find it weird that 90% of his literally the episode that's heavily focuses on him is him being jealous of Mal and his wife.
That is true. That is fair. I would have liked another Wash episode. I do feel like also his death is
it's stupid.
It's the most poorly done one because it's very sudden like that,
and 2,
it means nothing. It doesn't complete an arc for him at all.
Mal and I forget what is his wife's name.
Zoe.
Yeah, Mal and Zoe. They can't really grieve at the moment because they're being chased by Reavers.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I guess Zoe kind of goes through it. She's basically just shooting and killing everyone at the end.
She kind of goes numb for it.
Yeah, and then
Like,
they do have the ceremony at not the ceremony, funeral at the end. But it's still a very sudden and quick shot to the chest.
I find the funeral very weird because in this movie we're introduced to a new character, the telecom guy, who like he basically wants to like give free news to everybody and like information. Oh, the first time we've ever met him, right? Is in this movie. And yet he gets a tombstone right next to Shepard and Wash. And I don't know why. Like, that's the most confusing thing in the world to me. It's like two members of the crew and that guy we called on the phone twice. It's so fucking bizarre to me.
It's weird. Like, the deaths are weird. It's so weird.
Wash's death, it upsets me so much personally. Just like, I really like Wash, and personally I would have preferred the show ended with him and Zoe still together. And again, like Wash's death, it fills no narrative purpose. It doesn't like complete an arc. But do you know whose death would have completed an arc in a last stand to save the crew that he actually does care about? No. It would have been fucking Jane from Janestown.
Oh, Jane, yeah.
Jane would have made way more sense to die in Serenity because it would have been the conclusion of a narrative arc that had been built up in the show.
Does Jane do much in this movie?
No, he doesn't. No. He does not. And the least he could have done is died. Personally, I think that is really the case. It would have really made so much more sense. Like, it actually concludes an arc. He would have the kind of like he's also like, he's deeply superstitious throughout the show. Deeply superstitious and terrified of anything even related to Reavers. For him to have to A, overcome that fear, and B, sacrifice himself doing something selfless for the crew that he actually cares about would have actually tied it all together for him as a character.
Instead, they kind of gave him like the Jaime Lannister treatment.
Yeah, he's just there. He's just kind of an asshole again.
Yeah.
Although besides the death, the actual ending to the movie of River becoming the new pilot because she's the genius.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
I really enjoyed that, actually. Yeah. Like, I really enjoyed the actual resolution. Like, there's just things about it that bother me. But the resolution itself, I think, works.
It's because they did what they could. They obviously needed more build up to this. They couldn't make a 4-hour movie. They couldn't make a new season. So what we have
is what we could get.
Yeah, it's the ending without the build up, which is blaming it on Fox.
There is actually one other issue I do have with this, and it's gonna go right back to Star Wars because all roads lead to Star Wars. I'll be quick with it, but basically in the final scene, Mao basically leads a whole bunch of Reavers to attack the Alliance fleet, right?
Yeah.
And that shot where he's like in front of all these Reavers, it reminded me a lot of the shot in The Rise of Skywalker, where all of the ships are coming to help Poe and the Resistance fight against the First Order.
Yep.
And I was trying to find the reason that even though I thought that Mao's plan was very interesting and pretty clever, like leading the Reavers into this attack against the Alliance, there was a reason that I don't think I enjoyed that particular scene as much as I enjoyed the very visually similar one from The Rise of Skywalker. And the reason for that is that Mao's plan doesn't really tie into the theme of the movie at all. Like, the theme of the film, of Serenity, right, is basically like people have the right to know. It's all about like, freedom, and that what was it? The villain wants to make a world without sin. That's his whole idea. And Mao says, I'm going to make that by telling everyone the truth about the Reavers. That's kind of like the through line of the movie.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. And it's like, family will pull you through. It's all that kind of generic stuff. And the final conflict doesn't really have anything to do with that. You know what I mean? Like, it feels a little bit distanced from the theme of the film itself. Like, I think visually it's an interesting plan and everything, but I don't feel like the actual conflict and the theme of the movie touch each other at all.
I don't think it.
I guess.
I don't think it. You might be alone on this one.
I don't know. I didn't really think that far ahead. I didn't really think that much into it.
I think it stuck with me because it was like visually similar to something I've seen.
Yeah, but also
like I like the plan. I like Mao's plan. I think it's really clever. I just don't feel like that whole final fight ties into the theme of it at all. And for me, if there's anything in a movie or a show that I care about, it's the theme. Like, that's my number one thing.
Yeah,
I'm willing to.
I think we can tell now.
Yeah. I'm willing to overlook a lot of I'm willing to look over a lot of problems with the movie if I like the way it handles theme. I'm willing to overlook stupid narrative decisions like in Star Wars. I'm willing to overlook visual disgustingness like in Star Wars. I'm willing to overlook pure stupidity like in Star Wars if I really like the theme. So that's like my number one priority in a movie. And I think it's just a little thing I noticed because of how much I'm mildly obsessed with it.
I can't wait until we find a movie that I hate and that is like straight up terrible for obvious reasons, and then you
has a strong theme.
Yeah, but has a theme.
Ooh man, I can't wait for it either, man. I love having hot takes.
I don't even know what movie I can pick for that. So
I hope you can find one. I truly do. But on that note, anything else you guys want to say about Firefly and/or Serenity?
I think I would have liked this show a lot more if we didn't have to watch the movie.
The movie is just, out of everything we saw this week, including like the movies, or because we watched a lot this week, Serenity is probably the worst one.
I want to say this was a rough week for us. Like this is the largest.
Tell me about it.
Hold up. It was rough for you guys. I had COVID. I was chilling.
He was vibing.
It was the roughest for me because I hadn't watched Mando all of season 2. I hadn't watched any of it. Had to watch Firefly from the start, and had to watch our last show, Cowboy Bebop, from the start.
And 2 movies. You had to watch Serenity and the Bebop movie.
Yeah.
3, if you're including the pilot for Firefly.
It was basically fucking 3 because the pilot for some reason was an hour and 6 minutes.
Look at it like 2 movies, 2 episodes.
It doesn't help.
Yeah, really, no. Just like what's it called? Resident Evil is just it's just 14 episodes.
Listen,
it's just 14 40-minute episodes.
It's like watching Sherlock, guys. Come on.
Sherlock is 3 episodes per season.
Yeah, but it's 4 seasons long. My math is technically right, even if my motives are wrong.
Faizan, what's Cowboy Bebop about?
Just the hard cut. All right, our last show is Cowboy Bebop, which is a 1990s anime.
Yes, it is.
98.
Following a group of bounty hunters led by Spike, an ex-member of a crime syndicate.
Spike Spiegel.
And it just follows them throughout their adventures.
It literally is what's happening this week in the life of these guys on this boat.
Yeah.
Truly is. And I love it for that.
I loved it. It was
I love
good.
Cowboy Bebop.
It's so good and so
you
can watch it. You can watch it for like the fight scenes, the dialogue,
the music.
The fucking music is incredible.
Like this is something I'm gonna watch again at like my own pace.
Yeah.
To like thoroughly enjoy it.
I watched this first in high school, like back when I was watching like a shit ton of fucking anime, because I've heard the show was so good, and it was so good. And even honestly, rewatching it now, it was better. It was even better on a rewatch. There's so many strong points about this show. Like you're saying, Faison, it's this crew of characters, and in kind of like in Firefly, the crew is like a really strong component.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd even say it's the strongest because I think the characters themselves are strong. Like,
I think
the crew chemistry is good, but the characters alone are fantastic.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop did a real good job of developing their characters.
They each have their own story that's going throughout the whole series.
Yeah,
and each of them have sometimes their own specialized episode.
Which is why, I mean, I really like the first 4 or 5 episodes because I felt like it was mainly focused on character development.
See, it's interesting. I would say, I think that this show has a really interesting structure because I would say that the characters actually don't develop from episode 1 until probably the last episode for some of them. And even then, I would argue that most characters don't develop at all.
Okay, I guess character development is the wrong way to put it.
Characterization is probably closer to it. But yeah, like that's just like semantics, really.
Because
I get what you mean.
Yeah, because the characters, the first characters we meet is Spike and Jed. They're there throughout the entire show. We don't even see Faye for a couple, 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And Ed, who for some reason, I get why Ed is the icon on Hulu or different streaming sites. She's the icon. Really? She's not in the show until 9 episodes in.
I didn't know she was the icon.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, actually.
Yeah, sometimes it's just the the picture of the whole crew against the what's it? The lineup board?
Yeah, from the opening.
Yeah, it's either that or sometimes it's just a picture of Ed on the bike or on the motorcycle, whatever it is.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's the most like friendly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like this show is completely adult. The only adult, okay, Doug, there are adult themes in this show.
I think that the show is adult in that it is a show about adults. Like in anime specifically, right? So I'm not sure how much you might be able to relate to this, Tyler, but in anime, so many shows are coming of age shows with extra steps. Like all shonen shows are just coming of age shows with extra steps. That's like all Naruto, the whole fucking genre is. This is not that. This is a show about people like who they already came of age. They already had their arcs, and this is who they are now. And it's really fucking hard to change.
Yeah.
Like
they're not magically turning into a new person.
Yeah. This show is just about being an adult and kind of, like the last episode says, carrying that weight.
Yeah.
Like I think that's really unique to me in anime. I can't really think of a lot of shows that focus on that so importantly. You know, like I can think about shows that are for adults. Like, you know, like Vinland Saga is definitely more adult oriented in a lot of its content. It's a great show, which we'll talk about one day.
Are you talking just anime specifically or just shows?
Just anime specifically. Like, you know, I'm just comparing this to its own medium. Because obviously, you know, in the West, we have a lot more shows that I'd say are similar to that. But even in the West, I'd say that so many like movies and shows are coming of age. Like that's so popular.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, because it's that
or some kind of like turnaround.
Yeah. This is just a show about being an adult in that way, you know, living paycheck to paycheck with your roommates.
Yeah.
It literally is the premise of the show.
One of the best
really
comments,
fucking good.
One of the best comments that I read about the show after I finished it was somebody was comparing how the arcs and plot of the show, it seems like it's an epilogue to either a movie or something that we never saw.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Because like we've seen, like these characters have already developed to get to this point. We're just getting glimpses of it the more we go on. It's a sequel to a show we never had to see. I think it's super interesting.
And of course, I would love to see that. I would love to see more of these characters, but at the same time, you don't need it. The show is pretty perfect as it is.
The show ends in such a perfect way that like there are some shows that I feel don't ever need to be touched again. And that's coming from someone who loves franchises constantly expanding shit. Like I love that. But no, there are some things that should never be touched again. And that's kind of Bebop for me. Like it from episode 1 to 23, no 25, episode 1 to 26, episode 1 to 26, it is damn near perfect. And it did get touched on again. And in a way that, although not bad, I don't think is necessarily even needed. Like you can honestly not watch Knocking on Heaven's Door. And I feel like you get pretty much exactly the same. Because when I first watched it, I watched Knocking on Heaven's Door sometime afterwards. I did not watch it canonically when it takes place.
Yeah,
so if you can very much watch the show without it.
If you watch the movie, I did. I watched the movie in between after episode 22, which is when it's supposed to take place. You get a little bit of a connection to the finale because the movie's villain Vincent has his whole thing is he can't differentiate between his dreams and reality, so he goes insane and wants to destroy everything to see what's real or not.
Yeah.
That's kind of a honestly like not the most interesting motivation. Definitely not the most interesting on the show, but it's serviceable, I'd say.
Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is that there's lines near the end of that movie that directly relate to the finale with Spike's character too, because Vincent and Spike both agreed that they're basically one and the same. Yes, no.
I'm sorry. I tuned out. What did you say?
How Vincent and Spike had that their dialogue at points.
Oh yeah. They're Vincent is kind of like a dark mirror image of Spike, so to speak. He's like Spike if Spike kind of gave up. If Spike didn't have the Bebop and his crew, he'd be Vincent. I still don't think Vincent is super interesting in that way, but I do understand why he functions as a pretty good foil for Spike. I don't think he's as interesting a foil as Vicious, Spike's main antagonist,
who is like one of the greatest villains of all fucking time.
I find him super interesting, not necessarily because as a character, but because of what he stands for, which I guess we'll touch on. But yeah, I do agree with you that the movie does actually contribute a surprising amount, but at the same time, also like you could not watch. You don't have to.
You don't have to. It's just nice because one, you get what I was been saying about the dialogue, and two, it's just a movie for Bebop, and you get more.
Gorgeous. It's fucking. It looks like you can. The budget's high right off the bat. Like it is a gorgeous movie.
Yeah.
Like some of the fight he has on the train, like the hand-to-hand combat. There are shows that have ripped off those exact frames. Naruto, in the fight between Neji and Naruto, ripped off that exact frame.
Really?
Of like the hand-to-hand combat. You can see, like, I think if you look it up, you'll find it.
I thought they copied the broom fight.
Huh?
I thought they copied the fight with the broom.
Was it the broom? Maybe it's the broom. I always forget if it's the broom or the train, but I remember there's a scene from this movie that gets ripped off. Hold on. Now I got to look it up too.
Yeah. Well, either way, the broom fight and the train fight, they're both exceptionally well done.
I love the broom fight as well. Also, it looks like it's the train fight.
Oh, it's train? Okay.
It is the train fight. I mean, this isn't necessarily uncommon. We see this happen a lot. It's more of an homage than copying, so I shouldn't really say it that way. But I think like it's so iconic that it was homaged. You know what I mean? Like
into something as big as Naruto's,
yeah, something that would become one of the biggest anime shows of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's gorgeous. All the fights are gorgeous. Just the way things are animated, the fluidity is gorgeous. Like, and this kind of also carries over to the show as well. Like fights in the show,
gorgeous.
The space fights in the show,
gorgeous.
The fact that like characters like there's so many good shots, so many like individual like I always feel like it's weird to say if it's a shot in animation, but
I was just about to say that.
It is, but like we're gonna use shots going forward. So many gorgeous fucking shots. And I also love how, if you look at it, every character has a posture to them, the way they stand, like they always feel alive because of that. So many anime, like people are just standing straight or slightly hunched or something.
Yeah.
Every time you see someone, they have just so much expression in how they're sitting, like, or how they're moving. Like Ed's hands are always almost so like liquidy, like they're just constantly moving, always moving. Or like Jet always kind of has like a stiffness to his body, whereas Spike is always kind of like hunched over and flowing around. Like there is a distinct personality to the way that their bodies are drawn, and I just find that to be so fucking cool.
Yeah,
it's also one of the last traditionally animated shows.
Yeah, so that's what you were saying earlier, right? It was like it's like all like hand drawn.
Yeah, it's all it was before digital animation and before digital composition, which are two of the biggest things of like the anime industry in terms of how shit's done today.
Yeah.
So this is all fucking hand drawn, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because like even though there's some scenes where there's not a lot moving, there are some scenes where everything is just in perfect motion. Anytime Spike's in the swordfish, the animation just goes up.
And I think that's why like this still holds up today when you watch it. It doesn't feel like dated or anything like that.
Yeah.
No, like it looks old, but it doesn't take away from the show at all.
The writing is so good.
The writing is strong. And I feel like in terms of writing, because, you know, a lot of times a show can be written really well and that can be lost in translation.
Yeah.
The dub of this show is my second favorite dub of all time.
What's your first?
Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah,
I love that show so much.
Nothing can ever beat Full Metal Alchemist.
Truly nothing can for me. But the dub of this show it is one of the best dubs of all time.
Yeah.
Steve Blum as Spike Spiegel is absolutely perfect. It's just so good.
Yeah, when I heard, like, I knew who he was, but like when I started the show, I'm like, oh, this sounds familiar. It's like, oh wait, it's fucking Tom from Toonami.
Yeah. I love the realization I had when I came to that conclusion. It's like, oh shit. And Steve Blum was always like pushing for Toonami as well, like for it coming back in the day. And now it is back.
Which time?
God, I know after the first time, because you actually told us about the ending of Toonami.
Well, I don't know if it was the first or second time when it ended, but when it ended in 2008, he had a sign off as Tom, and he's saying, "This is it. Thanks for everything." And like the animation's going, and I think the animation was he like gets in a shuttle and blasts off somewhere, or he blows up the planet. I forgot what was the actual like what was going on. But the point was he hits a button and I think he's sailing off in the ship, and the last thing he says is "bang," which
that
is the last word of Bebop.
Yeah, the last word said in Bebop. And this is your final spoiler warning, because now we're going to talk about, I think, the character arcs here a little bit and why they're so great.
Yeah.
So this is get off of the ship now if you haven't seen it. Please watch this show.
Pause now and come back.
I feel confident in saying this is all of our number one. So now that you know that, watch this show.
Yeah, pretty much.
and now I think we can talk about the characters. I think we can just start with Ed. Ed is a child. Ed doesn't have a huge amount going on.
Is a genius hacker.
Genius hacker. And Ed is unburdened by like the past, unlike everyone else, because Ed's a child. Ed hasn't like lived through the shit that everyone else has. Like he has a past. She has a past.
Although
it's not like
background is kind of fucked.
Yeah, her dad just abandoned her because he forgot.
Slightly.
Yeah, but like it's still like she's not burdened by it in the same way that like Spike is, you know, or Jet or Faye.
Because she gets by and she's just having fun fucking around with technology.
Yeah, like she doesn't really even go back to her father at the end. She just goes out on her own with Ian.
What? No, she's trying to find him.
Is she trying to find him? I always kind of I can't remember.
Yeah, no, she's like that does hurt her when he immediately dips off the moment she
is trying to find him then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't 100% sure. I kind of forgot about that 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, like she's still not necessarily as she's not as hurt as everyone else. So that's why, and she's also works as like the comic relief of the show. All the lighthearted moments stem from Ed and Ein, who is a corgi, a super genius corgi. He doesn't really do that much genius stuff, honestly, but he's adorable, so we all love him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somehow it's like ridiculously smart, I guess. I don't fucking know.
He's emotionally smart. It's the emotional intelligence.
He has some moments, but it's not as much as you would, I guess, hope from a genius dog.
Yeah, especially how they portrayed him like as a secret weapon.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I didn't expect him to stay after like because the dog shows up in like episode 2, maybe.
Yeah, he's the first member of the Bebop to join.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be like a running thing throughout the whole show.
I'm personally happy it was. I think.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I just didn't think it would happen.
Yeah. I do love Ein. I love Ein, but like I truly do.
I mean, I love both of them. I mean, Ed's just hilarious, and
Ed's also great. I mean, I love the whole cast. Like, I love this show. It's so good. On that note, we can talk about Faye, who was a woman.
Backstory.
Tragic. She was a woman who got into an accident.
Here's the thing. I just want to point out before you go. So as I was watching the show, I was like going through the episode wikis to be like, all right, let me see if I missed anything. Just because one, I want to see if I missed anything. Two, I just like reading shit about the episodes. And the description for Faye is amnesiac, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, when the hell is she amnesiac? And that doesn't come up until like halfway through the season.
No, it doesn't.
It's actually implied a little early on because somebody in the casino episode where she comes in, the guy's like, "Oh, you're Faye Valentine. You look really good for a 70-year-old."
Yeah, they mention her age.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I looked over that part.
Yeah, so
I know it implies her arc, but it doesn't necessarily imply she's amnesiac. But I just like that little thing was set up so early on.
Yeah, I just find it weird that the fucking wiki makes it a point when it's halfway through the show that you're doing that.
Hey, you all want a spoiler?
Yeah, but basically, she got into like a horrible accident with her parents. Her parents die. She's like cryogenically frozen. Some shit goes down. Everybody forgets about her. And then like 50 something years later, she's taken out. And here she is now.
So much debt.
So much debt.
So much debt.
I kind of like the debt actually, I think functions pretty interestingly.
Yeah.
Like I think it's hilarious, right? But
good
also,
old
like,
American healthcare.
See, like no. Here's the thing, right? So like she gambles away all of her money, right? And like part of your brain might be like, well, shouldn't she put that money towards her debt? But it's like she owes
so much money.
It was like of oolong.
300 million or something like that.
I think even more than that, because then she ends up getting the debt of this guy who fakes his own death and puts her as the inheritor of his will.
Oh yeah,
his will is all debt.
Yeah.
So I think she owes like an astronomical amount that no human being could realistically.
Yeah, so
pay.
like that $10,000 or however much she gambles away is like pennies.
It's a drop. It's like fuck it. You might as well see if you just bet it all and either have enough to pay it off or don't. Like
you might as well see if you win big here. It's worth it.
There's no reason not to
because there's no possible way you're ever going to pay this off.
I mean I find that to be just super super interesting. I mean Faye, they're all interesting. And they all have a really interesting relationship with the past. So like here, Faye's is that she literally doesn't know it, and she spends a good chunk of the show trying to learn as much about her past as she can until she starts to piece it all together and figure out who she was before the accident.
Yeah.
And again, we'll touch on that I think a little more because that actually I feel is also kind
Yeah,
of
there is one episode I want to talk about, but we can talk about it later.
Yeah, we got to hit characters and then episodes because this show is dense and fantastic.
Oh yeah.
We'll talk about Jet now. Jet is an ex-cop who we learn was betrayed by his partner in an event which cost him his arm. He would then retire from the force and become a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
That's Jet's backstory. We're not shown this for until very late on. Like the first thing we learn about Jet's backstory is that he had this old girlfriend, and this is a great episode. I love this episode where he had a girlfriend who had left him, and he kind of always was kind of looking back at that time and like kind of he waited for her and he basically said if you don't come back until this stopwatch breaks, then I'll move on. And he basically runs into her years later, and she's with this guy who has a bounty on his name. So now he's kind of like put into this really great piece of conflict where he needs to take this guy in for the bounty, but that doesn't mean he necessarily wants to hurt her.
Yeah.
Yep.
And at one point she's like threatening to shoot him to protect the boyfriend. He just keeps walking forward and she just shoots towards him, but she can't bring herself to hit him. Such a great moment.
Yeah. Side note, it's his ship. The Bebop is Jet's ship.
Yeah, but that's right. That's a good point. The Bebop is Jet's ship. Jet is the founder of the Bebop. He's the cook. His signature meal, bell peppers and beef, is what opens the first episode with no beef is what opens the first episode of the show. And yeah, in a later episode, he gets called by his old partner, who basically says, the guy who cut your arm off is leading a prison break, and I need your help to get this fixed up.
Yeah.
So he brings Jet there. His partner, you have a scene where you see the partner put like 2 bullets into the gun and then spin it like to load it up. He has like an old-fashioned revolver. He's an old-fashioned guy, just like Jet. Jet's also very old-fashioned. And they find the guy's about to kill Jet, and his partner puts 2 bullets in the guy's head, right? Kills him. And then Jet's saying, right before the guy died, he told him that his partner was a reason that he lost his arm, that his partner set him up, and that's the reason that Jet pretty much lost everything, right?
Yep.
So Jet, knowing about this, he sees his partner kind of pointing the gun to him, and he takes the shot at him first, and he kills his partner. Only to see, he talks to him, when he kind of holds his partner as he dies, he realized the partner didn't have any bullets to kill him with. So the partner pretty much just set himself up to die here, to just end all of it of what happened.
Yep.
Another great episode. This show is nothing but great episodes.
Yeah, it's like it's so hard to pick a favorite one, even because they all feel so good.
There's no bad ones.
I have one that sticks out for me.
I also have one that sticks out for me. I
think they're the last 2 episodes. They don't count.
Not counting the finale.
Not counting the finale. Finale's a gem. I also final character, the protagonist, Spike Spiegel.
Good old Spike.
Man with ties to the syndicate and who fell in love with the wrong woman.
Yep.
And it led to him almost dying before she abandoned him in order to not kill him, sending his life spiraling down the drain.
Him and Vicious work together, right?
Yeah, him and Vicious work together. Julia was Vicious's girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Spike done fucked up, man.
Spike pissed off the wrong man.
If he literally faked his death because he fell in love with the wrong woman.
Yeah, and but the thing is, like we said, everyone has a relationship to the past. Jet is he's always kind of like connected to it, in that he always just talking to his old contacts. It's almost like he misses it in a way. Whereas Spike cannot say no to the past for his fucking life.
Yeah.
Anytime the past comes knocking, he abandons the Bebop and he goes out to face it. He is completely incapable of saying no to it. That's like his defining character trait, if I could pick just one. Because there's several episodes where his past comes knocking, where the first one is one of the episodes that stands out to me as probably my favorite, not including the finale, is episode 5. And it's the first time we meet Vicious.
Yep.
And effectively Vicious sets the situation up for Spike to come out and fight him. And they have an insanely good fight in this abandoned church that ends almost in a similar way to how Spike faked his death, where he fell out of the... Well, no, he didn't really fake his death there. That was where he got the shit knocked out of him and he met Julia in the flashback. But it kind of it very similar to that, where he falls out of the church window. And you see the glass falling around him, and it keeps cutting to his past with these, you think they're roses falling around him, but they're actually the letter that he left for Julia that she's tearing up over the windowsill. And it's such a great moment, such a great episode, and arguably my favorite, not out of the finale.
Yeah.
What are your picks? I'm curious for you and Tyler that are not at the finale. That's your favorites.
Might be a weird one. It's the chess one.
Really?
I like that because it shows that's not a big overarching plot one. You don't get much. You don't get much of the overarching story from the episode. What I like about it is it shows off a lot of every character. You got Ed fucking around playing chess with the. I guess he's considered a terrorist, but when you find out he's just an old man whose plan, he forgot his own plan because he just was an old man at this point. He was pissed off years ago and he had this big plan, but he got too old. He forgot it. Now he's just senile and playing chess online. So Ed's playing chess with this old man, and Jet and Spike are trying to find him because they think he's his mastermind. I just like the whole dynamic of Ed playing chess and playing with this guy, and he dies at the end, just of old age. Ed doesn't know that. Ed just is sad because he lost the game.
Yeah. That's a really good one. I hadn't thought about that one. I feel like any episode could be someone's favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I have two here. So I really liked Piero LeFou.
Ooh, yes.
Just because Piero felt like such a great character.
He's terrifying.
He was literally like the Joker, but super fucking strong. Yeah. Like he could break your head in half.
Yeah.
And I just thought the music and like the setting in that episode was just so good. Like the whole like having that last fight in the abandoned carnival. I think it was just perfect.
I agree. I actually looked up like the director afterwards because I like from how it felt to me, I thought it was Satoshi Kon, the guy who did Perfect Blue.
Yeah.
Because so much of it
no, it's not.
It's not him. No, it turned out not to be. But it really, to me at least, it felt like it. There was a lot of this, like the visuals of it felt very like something he would have done, like we kind of things that we've seen in either that movie or in Paprika. And even kind of like this idea, like this almost like this weird horror of this clown. It just felt like something I would see him do, like from like Paranoia Agent or something like that aesthetic.
Yeah.
I could see that. It's really good. It's such a great episode.
The name, the translated name, Requiem for a Clown, is just a great name.
That's someone use that name for something because that name's fucking gold.
And then what is the second one that I really liked was Speak Like a Child, which is the where Faye gets finds the tape.
Oh yeah.
Right. I think I liked it a lot because like the first half you just have like this very, very lightheartedness of like the Bebop crew. It's just them being them. And then at the end when Faye finally gets to play that tape, she just can't even recognize that it's her. And just like just her like having that breakdown at the end is just like, man,
that hurts.
It hurts. Because like that's when it hits you that she's legitimately 50 something years in the future and can't remember anything about her life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's a great tragedy.
Yeah,
so good.
All the characters' ending arcs are amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I don't even know if you can call them an arc, like because how we said they play out, but whatever the hell it is, it's fucking good.
Yeah,
so I think you were wanting to share. I'm assuming the opening tank.
Of course.
Yeah, unfortunately, we still seem to get it to work. It goes something like.
Jazz, I got it.
Oh.
But yeah, the endings. You want to just go by what characters, or you want to just go by the actual 2 last episodes?
I think we can.
Well, no, because we can't do
the last.
No, because Ed doesn't end in the last 2.
That's well, we kind of talked about Ed's already. Eventually, Ed leaves the Bebop to go find his father. Her father.
Yeah, she just draws her face on the Bebop saying bye-bye. And
it's such a sad moment, too. Yeah. I actually do want to talk about that moment, because at that point, Faye also left the crew temporarily to try and understand her past more.
Yeah.
Tyler, do you have the...
Yeah, I'm keep going.
Okay. So I love there's one scene in this episode where basically it's just Jet and Spike, and they're just scarfing these eggs down. And they made enough eggs for all 5 members of the crew, for Faye, Spike, Jet, Ed, and Ian. They made enough eggs for everybody. And they're just like scarfing these eggs down. Just like trying, they're basically trying to act as if nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And there's like this the manic feverishness to this. Like they're just shoving these eggs down their mouth to try and like ignore the fact that they do miss their crewmates and their crew isn't there. And I think that moment is kind of like, it kind of encapsulates a lot of the show for me, where so much of it is just about moving forward. Like in every episode, they meet these really unique characters. Like we haven't even talked about that. Every episode, they meet completely unique people, like totally interesting characters with like interesting backstories and really cool designs. Andy the cowboy, the trucker queen. I love the trucker queen. That's one that really stands out to me.
Yep.
And every episode, most of those characters they meet, they never meet again. Like ships in the night, you know? And I think that's so much of the show is like, they're just moving on constantly. People come, people go. But in this case, the people who are leaving are people they really cared about. And they're not quite sure how to handle that, except to ignore it. I just think that's super interesting to me.
Yeah.
Tyler, any luck?
So, oh no, I'll save it for the end.
Oh, we'll save it for the very end. That's fucking perfect. Okay. Yeah. In that case, we can talk about the actual ending of the show.
Yeah. Well, so after after Ed leaves with Ein, and they go off to basically find her dad and more or less her own path.
Yeah.
We are left with just Faye, Jet, and Spike.
Well, Faye actually left at this point as well temporarily to find her past. But the answers weren't really enough for her.
Oh, right, yeah. But I mean, like, she still shows up in the last two.
She shows up halfway through the episode.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, okay, so you want to focus on Jet and Spike. I'm trying to word this. You got anything for this Faison, Chris?
Faison?
I don't know what you're trying to say, Tyler.
I'm just trying to figure out a way to actually articulate the whole ending.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. He's not trying to reconnect with his past. He just kind of...
His past comes calling again.
Yes.
Like, once again, Spike's past comes calling again, and as always, he cannot say no to it.
Yep.
This time, it is literally Julia, the woman he loved. And he meets with her, and she's telling him to run away from it, because Vicious, who was originally just a member of the Syndicate, is now in control of what seems to be the largest criminal organization in the galaxy.
Yep.
Because like the police have said multiple times they can't handle him, right? They can't handle the Syndicate. And like he's after Spike for blood. He wants to kill Spike at the end to get vengeance for everything that's happened. And throughout the episode, Julia is like, run away with me. Just get away from it all. And even
Julia basically comes to him and is like, I'm supposed to kill you.
Yeah.
But let's run away together.
Yeah. Like, I love it because, like, even with Julia now, like, literally hand in hand, right? He still can't turn away from his past.
No.
Because, like, so much of the show, it's framed in a way that you think that it's about Julia. He can't turn away from everything with Julia.
But he just can't turn away from his past in general.
It's just not who he is. It's not the kind of person he is. He can't do it. And even when he has Julia, he can't turn away from it. And it causes an old friend of his from the Syndicate to die. And it also eventually causes Julia to get caught in it all and get killed.
Yeah.
And even after Julia's dead, he has nothing truly tying him to the Syndicate anymore. He just has his fight with Vicious. He goes back. First he goes to the Bebop and he talks with Jet. And Jet already knows exactly what's going down. So Jet
is having his last meal.
Bell peppers with beef without the beef, just like the show opens. Just like perfectly symmetric. It's like things are exactly how they start.
The perfect callback.
And they're just talking and they're just laughing and they're just having what they both know to be one last good time together. And then he starts heading out. And then Faye is there and Faye's telling him not to run away. And Faye's saying that you can't run away. She points a gun at him saying she'll shoot him if he tries to go. And he gives a line that I always fucking love. He's like, my eyes are of two different colors. One of them was replaced by a cybernetic. My right eye sees the past and my left eye sees the present. So I'm always looking at both, right? And I always fucking love that line. I can't remember the exact quote, but it always has.
It's something along that lines.
That sequence of events always stuck.
Yeah.
It pans from one eye to the other, and you see this slight change in color while he's saying this.
And it's just literally his character.
It's just him, and 100%. He can't take his eye off the past. And he's just walking away, and Faye starts shooting like upwards. He doesn't even flinch. He does. Like, you would expect like to slow down after the first shot.
Yeah.
Nothing. Just keeps walking. He goes to his ship, and he basically leads a one-man assault on Vicious's tower. And he's climbing up this tower, steps. He's blasting his way through, gunning down as many gangsters as he can, throwing grenades left and right. He finds an old friend within the Syndicate who helps him like lead the assault. His friend gets killed. He gets a shot in the arm, and he ends up face to face with Vicious. And he has one of the best fight.
Yeah, probably
in
the
whole
best fight.
series.
Yeah.
One of my favorite fights in anime, where in the end of it, like I love the scene right at the end of the fight where they basically each have each other's weapon. Vicious has Spike's pistol and Spike has Vicious's gun. Wait, no, I said that backwards.
Nope.
Spike has Vicious's sword. Spike has Vicious's sword.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. They each have each other's weapon and they toss it to each other as they charge at each other for the last hit, and they take each other out. Spike gets Vicious and Vicious gets Spike, and Spike is kind of like climbing down the stairs as he sees all of the syndicate members coming up to him, and he just like points out his finger and like a finger gun and says bang,
bang. Yeah,
and falls to the floor. And that's
also, I mean, also just the flashback when they go back to like Julia's death, where she was like, it was all a dream.
Oh yeah.
And then he goes, and then it cuts back to him in the present. It was like, yeah, a bad dream.
Again, it's so fantastic, so absolutely fantastic. This show. I mean, like I even love like we said, like we were talking. We didn't really talk much about Vicious, but Faison, like you said, Vicious is great.
Yeah.
Like Vicious isn't like a character with like super complex motivations or anything, but he's literally representative of every fuck up that Spike has ever made in his life that led into this point. He is Spike's past in every shape and form, and Spike cannot turn away from him no matter what he does. Even when they have each other's weapon and they're looking each other in the eye, there's something about it that they can't stop this.
Yeah. Yes. Like he basically had no character development, like actual development throughout the whole show.
Nothing. But he's so
like
good.
The more and more they reveal his backstory, it's just like, oh.
I always love the frame of him and Spike back to back when they were parts of the syndicate.
Yeah.
Like they were clearly great friends
who
would fight against these other gangs together before Spike slept with his girl.
Yeah, I mean, imagine your best friend sleeping with your girl. Like I'd kind of be like Vicious too. Like,
you know what? I might as well take
understandable.
control of the criminal organization at that point. It's just so fantastic, and I love how then like the ending takes a long time. You see Spike dead, and it just starts panning up over the skyline into space, over the stars, and the song starts playing, and it just keeps panning up for the whole song. And
is Spike actually dead?
Yeah, that's the one weird thing about the ending is that the creator said it's ambiguous.
I disagree.
Yeah, no, I disagree too. I just wanted to bring it up because I knew you hated it.
I don't like that concept. I don't think it works I don't think it works from a character point, and I don't think it even works from how things are shown.
I don't think that ever works in general.
Yeah.
That it could be considered ambiguous is that during Spike's last meal of Jet, he tells a story of a cat that lived forever until he met a female companion that he fell in love with, and then the female cat dies, and then years later the male cat dies.
Well, I think he dies in the moment.
Oh, whatever, he died. They both die, is the point. So he tells that story. It's obviously a parallel to him and everyone, and at that point you're like, oh, you're going off to die. And then Spike says, I don't like how that story ends. That's the only line in the whole episode that has some like semblance of ambiguous. Even though
I still feel like that's more like Spike just saying, I don't
Spike
like how
shit.
the story
Yeah.
ends, you know? But it is still his story.
It's just him being him.
I'm just trying to tie into what the creator might have been going for, because that's the only line.
Yeah, that's probably the only thing I didn't like about this show.
The creator's thing.
Yeah.
Hey, I always say, once a piece of art's out there, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, like you have like in Harry Potter, you have Hermione, like J.K. Rowling, on top of being just an overall piece of shit, she's often being like, and then the wizards took shits and used their sticks to wave them away. It's like, I'm just not going to consider that canon because those books are done. So I don't really care what you as the creator have to say. You have no power here. And that's my same opinion here. The way I see it is that it is very final, and there's a finality to it that matters a lot.
Yeah.
And I think
I just choose to see it as he died.
Exactly.
I refuse to believe the open interpretation part because it wouldn't ruin my experience. I just wouldn't like it.
I think it would hurt my experience a bit, especially because after it ends up panning at the very end, it goes to at the end of every episode. There's always a little tagline: "See you, space cowboy." See you, space samurai. Do you have a comrade? Stuff like that, like little things. Mostly it's "See you, space cowboy," but in this one, at the very end, after everything pans up, it just says, "You're gonna carry that weight."
Yeah.
And I don't think it's crazy how a frame of animation that is not even animation is literally just text on a black screen
could draw that much. Yeah.
Like I can't believe something could stay with me this much.
Yeah.
Like there are a few things I've seen in any
that I like
medium,
legitimately remember.
It sticks with
like
me.
that left a imprint in my memory.
It has left a lasting impression. I can never shake it.
Same thing could be said for Ed's last episode. Her tagline is "See you, space cowgirl, somewhere."
Oh, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
I love the taglines. And now, Tyler, I think you want to.
Also, wait, we didn't mention that. I mean, you're gonna carry that. We didn't mention how much of the show. I mean, we mentioned that the soundtrack is amazing, but the episode titles and a lot of the references in the show are.
There's like so many pop culture references.
Yeah, and that was just a shit ton of music references.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna carry that way as a Beatles reference.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
I'd never pieced that together.
I mean, we also forgot about the whole Alien episode.
The Alien episode's a gem, an absolute gem. Again, every episode of the show can be someone's favorite.
There's so much to unpack that, like, the amount of time we've talked about it, I feel like we didn't even cover like 50%.
We didn't do the show enough justice. If you've decided to listen to the spoilers, watch it anyway. Watch it anyway. It's so good.
I mean, again, the music. There's the episode title is one episode just called Bohemian Rhapsody. Like, we all know that song. There's an episode that is named after an Aerosmith album. A band this year decided to name one of the songs Asteroid Blues, which is the pilot. I have no idea if that actually is what they were going for, because the song is instrumental, even though the song does sound like it could be from Bebop.
I actually have one last thing I wanted to say, because I kind of forgot about this. The show's actually kind of crazy progressive for being a show in the 90s from Japan. Like, a lot of
there was
people
that gay
of color
sex scene
everywhere. There was what?
It wasn't a full
gay scene.
Okay. I know what you're talking about. I kind of forgot about that because I watched that one like earlier, because I've been binging this one slowest, so I kind of forgot some of the earliest episodes. I was thinking specifically there's an actual intersex character, Gren. I mean, Gren.
Yeah,
and Gren's fucking awesome. Gren has is fully developed and realized and interesting in every single aspect. Like, this character, the show, I think it goes to a lot of lengths actually to be as progressive. And the writer, the showrunner would later do a show called Carol and Tuesday that would definitely continue that trend. A lot of people of color, a lot of there's I think it's trans character or maybe an intersex character. I can't remember right now. Plays a major role in the plot. Like, he really goes out of his way to do this, which I find really interesting, especially from 1998.
Yeah.
Like, blows my mind. But yeah, Tyler, I think you want to share something with the class.
And and this is just the opening song.
Oh, now we can't.
Yeah, Tyler.
Just so good.
It's too low.
It's a little too low now.
I don't think you can hear us.
Watch it just not even record.
If we sound like we're listening to nothing,
It's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
It's
so good.
The opening is an absolute classic.
If I could play that whole thing, I would.
It's worth it. I love that opening. And I love the opening animation as well. It's so like one part noir, one part James Bond, one part space western, one part classic. It's so good.
Yeah.
And that jazz is kick fucking ass.
Yeah.
All right. Any last thoughts on Cowboy Bebop? Anything we haven't mentioned that you guys really want to bring up?
I think we've done as much as we can, honestly.
I think we already said the favorite episodes and all that. I mean, favorite character, I'm guessing everyone's going to say Spike.
I love Spike. Yeah.
I like Spike a lot.
Yeah.
Vicious is up there too, I think.
On that note, do you guys want to do our rankings? I have a feeling they're going to be pretty...
Yeah, what's your guys' number 3?
Firefly.
Okay, we have the same rankings.
What's your guys' number 2?
Mando.
We're not even going to do a joke this time.
What's your number 1, guys? I'm curious. I'm really
Cowboy
curious.
Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop.
The thing is, like, all 3 of these shows are really good.
Yeah,
right?
There's no bad shows this week.
I just felt like Cowboy Bebop was like, it was past the good into like the great.
Cowboy Bebop is in a class all its own. It's a masterclass of animation and kind of just a masterclass show.
Yeah.
A true, like a real great, like an all-time favorite.
Yeah, like
Even
there's a reason why
anime,
this is a classic.
If you don't like anime, doesn't matter. This is always worth watching.
It's very well deserved of its status.
I mean, while watching it, like, I follow people on Instagram, just like, okay, whatever. So one of the people I follow on Instagram, I don't personally know him. I just know him from Twitter, and like we just talk about music and stuff. And I remember as I was watching, I'm like, why does Spike look familiar? And then I realized, like, oh shit, he was Spike for Halloween.
It's a damn gem. Honestly, Spike for Halloween, great costume idea.
Yeah, him and his girlfriend with Spike and FA.
Great choice. Should have.
What's your guys' reasoning behind Mando at 2 instead of Firefly?
I think Serenity hurts Firefly too much.
Serenity does hurt Firefly, but it's really hard. Like, it's really hard. It was really hard for me to put Mando and Firefly because I enjoyed the majority of Firefly more than Mando, but at its best, Mando is better. And I kind of judged it of what it was going to be for Mando because I know what's leading up to, and it should be at the same level of great now.
I think Firefly just having one season really ruined the rankings for me.
Fuck them for this.
And I'm also just a sucker for Star Wars.
I love Star Wars. Like, I mean, I feel like that should say something. Me, who's a Star Wars crack addict, still has put Cowboy Bebop at number 1. Yeah, that's how good that show is. Like, just reiterating.
Yeah,
truly. Again, great week, great shows, lots of binge.
Yeah,
and that is the binge.
So, yeah.
Thank you guys for listening.
See you, Space Cowboy.
I was gonna say it. God damn it! I was waiting.
We're not even done yet. You guys could have waited till the end.
Yet. Yeah.
All right. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Are we on YouTube?
Yeah, we're on YouTube. Amazon, Stitcher.
Amazon,
whatever
Stitcher.
You got. And also, if you guys want a particular episode for us to cover, we have almost no way to interact with you. Either talk to Tyler or leave it in a comment at the Apple reviews and the Apple place.
Yeah, either message at Tyler Zucker on Twitter, or leave us a review, or just leave us a review in general.
Yeah, that's also great. You know what? I love that idea, Faison. Leave us a review. Leave us some stars. We would love to get any feedback we possibly can. Please do.
Thank you guys for listening.
Have a good one.
We'll see you next week.
You gonna say it? You gonna say it, Tyler?
I'm giving it to you.
It's too late.
No! Wait, did you stop it?
No, I didn't stop it, but it's almost too late.
No, we're gonna keep it. See you, Space Cowboy.